Hello, 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 everyone. Good evening, good evening. Hey, Deborah, you number one girl. Number one in here tonight. All right, God bless. Hey, PG and Chad. Hey, hey, hey to you. Hey, Patty, number two. Number two, girlfriend. Hello, PG and all. Prayers and much love. Hey, prayers and much love to you as well. God bless. And Linda, number three. Hello, PG. Hello, hello, hello to you. And number four is Kathy. All right, there we go. Oh, I was expecting Miss Justice to be one of the four again, right? But she will be. She will be. She's gonna be one of the four all year long. Trust me, I know. God bless. Hey, Lady Q, how you doing, sweetie? Janet, the legendary. Patty, Anna, how's everybody doing tonight? Spread love. Good to see you. Marie, how you doing, sweetie? Molly, good to see you in here, girlfriend. God bless. Our bucket list has holes. How you doing, hun? Hey, Melanie, I see you, girl. There you are. Good to see everybody coming in here. Hey, Marianne, how you doing, sweetie? Hello, PG, Summers Army. Hello, mods, and everyone else. Hello, hello to you. Good to see everybody in here. Anna says hello to Molly. She says, hello, Molly. I'm sure Molly's waving back. Sometimes people come in and they'll be like, hey, hello, PG. And all of a sudden I'm waving. Right? Like they're able to see me. I'm waving my hand. Like, hello. Oh, that is beautiful. Our bucket list has holes. Love and prayers for Lily and Jack. Absolutely. God bless. You know, those two little children. So beautiful. So beautiful. And how anyone could, you know, do such horrible things to children, I don't know. Lily and Jack's case reminds me a whole lot of Summer's case, a whole lot. The footprints, the terrible living conditions, the illegal substance abuse going on, so many weird people coming in and out. It's just almost identical. You got the mother insinuating that, you know, this Daniel guy possibly, you know, did something to the children. You got Daniel, you know, saying no, it possibly was her. But then you have both of them saying at the beginning that they were, you know, in the same room, the same bed with the baby, and both of them sleeping. They both supposedly, you know, or at least one of them heard the children. They both were saying that the kids were, you know, that the kids had come into the bedroom or peeking in the room or something in the room. And they hadn't supposed to ever left the room, either one of them, because they were right there together. But yet now they're, you know, now both of them are throwing suspicion on the other one. It's like, make that make sense, right? Make that make sense. Because it don't make no sense, to be honest. And then you had the mother stating that she told Daniel, you know, I don't hear the kids. Do you hear the kids? Where are the kids? And she's the one that initiated, you know, the spring from the bed and running to, you know, where's the children at? And then you had Daniel say, no, actually it was me asking her, you know, do you hear the kids? I don't hear the kids, you know, springing from the bed to run and, you know, possibly see where they was or where they went to. Then you had at the beginning them saying that they heard, you know, supposedly the mother heard the kids outside and then couldn't hear them any longer. And then the mother says, no, I didn't say that. And, another source that came from another source, which we know now is the grandmother. Because the grandmother said, that she came out, right? She got up early, had herself, I don't know what, I have no idea what the hell she had inside that mess of a place she lives in back there. I have no idea what she had. She had something. And then she says, she came out, fed the chickens, and you got a phone call from her brother and told him no, she didn't want to go wherever he was wanting to go that day. And she was going back to lay down. And she said she did go back to lay down, kind of like Grandis. She took a nap, right? Grandis took a nap too. And I don't know what the hell Grandis's nap had to do. I mean, I don't know what Grandis's nap had to do with Summer disappearing. It don't, her nap doesn't hold no validation to Summer's disappearance, meaning that Grandma's nap was, between when they got home and calling Summer out of the house to help plant flowers. Her nap was before, the abduction or the wandering off or, all the BS that they, would like you to believe. Well, actually, they didn't want us to believe she wandered off because they didn't want law enforcement all over the place. They just wanted us to believe that it was an abduction. But Grandma's nap was before all of that even went down, right? In the Summer Wells case. This grandma, she seemed to, be a little smarter and say, well, I was laying down. I heard him outside playing, but, then I heard Daniel hollering for them. And I thought, oh, well, he's wanting them to come in the house. And then, with about 20 minutes, she got up and went out, saying what's going on. And I guess the mother supposedly was standing out where the swimming pool was supposed to get put in, and with the baby talking, saying that, Jack and Lily were missing. And she said that's when, she sprung back into her camper and throwed on her boots, jumped into her boots and ran out and started, looking everywhere she could possibly look to see if she could find the two children, which, didn't seem to exist. So, it's got a whole lot of, it's almost like they watched the Summer Wells case, before all of this went down and decided to pick and choose some of the things, for themselves, right? For themselves to go off of. I mean, if I didn't know better, and I don't, that's what I would think, right? I would think that these people are watching other people's cases and, trying to implicate the same scenario in order to get, out of going to prison and so forth and so on, to get away from the crimes that they have committed. I don't know. Oh, yeah, absolutely, Australia. Welcome to everyone who just coming. Hit the like button, subscribe, turn on your notification. Absolutely, God bless. Yeah, Hey, Renee, how you doing, sweetie? Hello, PG and friends. Nice to see you live at this time. Just getting in from work. Hey, girl. God bless and much love. Right, Molly? God is love. Absolutely. Molly says, good to see you. Good to see you, God is love. Haven't you all heard about the Arkansas Trail unliving 2 girls under 10 years sent running by mom? No, I haven't heard about that. I have not heard about that particular case. No, absolutely not. I was looking into um, another case of a little girl's disappearance. It's really sad. It was really sad because after the mother had got her back, from this evil being who took her after the mom got her back. Um, and actually, the way the mom got her back is because there was a nosy neighbor, and the nosy neighbor asked this particular weirdo to, that was really a weird case though, because this mother, her daughter said, this man, I guess the little girl was at a school. I don't know if you guys heard about it or not, but there was a little girl at a school, and her friends decided to um put her up. She couldn't afford the textbook or something, and her friend said, well, just go to the teacher's desk and take one. And she said, I can't do that, that would be stealing. And they said, oh no, the teacher don't mind, they want all the kids to learn. And I guess, the kids were wanting to see her get in trouble. But when she went to the teacher's room to, try to get the textbook, some weird guy showed up, said he was with, law enforcement, and that what she was doing was stealing, and that, that she needed to, that he wasn't going to take her to jail, but she was going to need to, tell him about other kids that steal and stuff, throughout the school year, to kind of restitution for what she was doing. And I guess she was meeting up with him and talking to him, and finally he took her off. I guess he told her to tell her mother that she was going on vacation with her with a girlfriend at school, and that and she's like 10 years old. This little girl was like 10 years old. And I couldn't believe this was even real, that this is even a true story. I was like, nah, this has to be fake, but I guess it's true. And she told her mom that she was going to leave, and the mom didn't even want to meet this dad, didn't want to meet the girlfriend, didn't want to meet nobody. She lets her daughter leave with this weird guy. The girl said, we're only going to be gone a week, and the mom's like, okay, and lets her pack up and leave with them. And there's no other girl, just the dad's supposedly the dad's picking her up, but it's really this weird guy. And he picks her up, he takes her away, right? He takes her away. Then she calls her mom and says, oh, it's not going to be a week, it's going to be a month. And her mom's like, okay. And then she contacts her mom again and says, oh, the month's going to run into like 3 months. And the mother's like, well, all right, I guess so. And I mean, really? I didn't think the story was real. I didn't think any mother would be, mindless enough, for one, to let their 10-year-old child go anywhere with anybody on any type of vacation. It ain't family, you don't know them. Hell to the no-no. But I guess this mother did. Obviously she didn't care much, because she let this girl go, this 10-year-old child go with this man that she never met. She didn't know from Adam. She didn't even know if he had a daughter or not. Hadn't seen the daughter or anything else. And this guy, after 3 months, well, all communication stopped. And this guy was just running around with this little girl for, like a long, long time. And they finally got to this one place, and the neighbor lady says, noticed things weren't normal, with this guy and girl. And she asked him, could the little girl come and, help her do some stuff over, at her place. And he said, sure. So she took the little girl to help her, and she got the little girl aside and said, what is going on? And the little girl told her, what had happened and everything. And the woman had called the police. She called law enforcement and told, told law enforcement that this guy, what happened with the little girl. And the little girl ended up going home. She finally got to go home to her mom, right? Long story short, she got to go home to her mother. But after she went home to her mother, she ends up getting, I guess, hit by a vehicle and passes away. What the heck, right? Unbelievable, unbelievable. Well, it wasn't so good for her. After going through all of that, trauma with this man and all this stuff, he violated her and all this evil stuff he did to her. She goes back to her mother and ends up getting hit by a vehicle and passing away. It was like, whoa, it's just a really sad, it was a really sad story. And I couldn't believe it was true. I couldn't believe it was true, but it was. I researched it, and it was straight up a true story. I'm like, I don't know how anybody could be that damn careless with their child. Some people, how weird, how weird. Hey, Pam, how you doing, sweetie? Hello, everyone. Thank you all for the prayers, boyfriends. Gets picked line out. All right. Good to hear. Good to hear. That is good to hear. Anyway, I'm going to get started because I came in here to talk about Jack and Lilly Sullivan. So I'm going to give you guys, the rundown from day one all the way up until now. I'm going to give you the rundown of it. So, for those who ain't real familiar with the Jack and Lilly Sullivan case and what's really going on in this case, it's just going to, it's going to back up and it's going to bring you forward.
Jack and Lilly's case. Canadian siblings Lilly Sullivan, born March 22, 2019, and Jack Sullivan, born October 29, 2020, disappeared from their rural home on Gairloch Road in Lansdowne Station, Pictou County, Nova Scotia on May 2, 2025. A large-scale search effort was undertaken in the days immediately following their disappearance, which was mostly scaled back on May 7 after no trace of the children was found. Several further individual organized search efforts have taken place in the weeks since, which have not resulted in any significant findings. Police investigation into the disappearance has included interviews of at least 54 individuals, some of whom were administered polygraph testing. Authorities have stated that there is no evidence that the children were abducted, but that they have not ruled out that the disappearance is suspicious. The case has captured widespread attention both across Canada and around the world due to the unusual circumstances surrounding the disappearance. As of June 2025, the government of Nova Scotia is offering a reward of up to $150,000 for information that is deemed to be of investigative value to the search for the missing siblings. The Sullivan siblings lived with their biological mother Malaya Brooks Murray and their stepfather Daniel Martel in a rural property on Gairloch Road, in Lansdowne, Nova Scotia, described as being surrounded by woods, steep banks, and thick brush. According to Martel, both siblings were kept home from school on both Thursday, May 1 and Friday, May 2 because Lilly had a cough. They had also not been at school on Wednesday, April 30, because there was no school due to a professional development day for teachers. The siblings were seen in public with family on May 1, the day prior to their reported disappearance. On the morning of May 2nd, Martell and Brooks Murray claim that while they were both in the bedroom with their 1-year-old daughter, Lilly came in and out of the bedroom several times, and Jack could be heard in the kitchen. Shortly afterward, they say they could no longer hear either of them, and never saw the two children again. Martell stated his belief that the siblings likely opened the home's back sliding door, which is purportedly silent when operated, and went outside. Brooks Murray stated that she and Martell looked for the siblings outside, yelling out for them. Around 10 a.m., Brooks Murray called 911 to report them missing. Lilly is said to have likely been wearing a pink sweater, pink pants, and pink boots, and Jack blue dinosaur boots, when they disappeared. May 2025. At 12:25 p.m. ADT on May 2nd, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police issued a statement notifying the public about the disappearance, asking anyone who may have information to come forward. At the time, police stated their belief that the children had wandered away from their home, and that there was no evidence of abduction. At 4:55 p.m., police issued an update advising a vulnerable missing persons advisory had been issued for Pictou County, and asking the public to stay clear of the area where the disappearance is said to have taken place. On May 3rd, police and volunteers numbering at least 100 searched the area surrounding the siblings' home using ground search, dogs, drones, and helicopters to aid in the search. The siblings' mother, Malaya Brooks Murray, spoke stating that she was still hopeful the children would be located, saying, "We just want them home as soon as possible." She further elaborated, saying that the night of May 2nd was one of the worst nights because I didn't have them in their beds, and I don't want to go another night without them. The same day, Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston released a statement. People in Pictou County and across Nova Scotia are praying for a positive outcome for two missing children. During this time of worry, please know that our first responders and volunteers are working tirelessly during this 24/7 operation. By May 4th, the number of people searching had reached 160, according to RCMP Staff Sergeant Curtis McKinnon. Martell said he wanted authorities to monitor the New Brunswick border and nearby airports in case the children were abducted. On May 6th, Martell told that after the siblings' disappearance, their mother left the area to be with her family in another part of Nova Scotia, and blocked him on social media. The siblings' maternal grandmother Cindy Murray spoke with the Canadian press over the phone, stating that the family is hoping and praying for the recovery of the children. She also stated that police had advised the family against speaking to the media. On May 7th, police announced that the search for the missing children had been scaled back, with Staff Sergeant McKinnon saying that there hadn't been any confirmed sightings of the children and that it was unlikely they were still alive. On May 18th, a renewed search took place with 115 volunteers in addition to police personnel. On May 28th, a RCMP Major Crime Unit representative disclosed that the siblings were confirmed to have been observed in public with family members on May 1st, the day before they were reported missing by their mother and stepfather. The location of where they were observed has not been made public by authorities. Regarding this development,
Now, that is something that I find really suspicious. I find a few things really suspicious in this case. Like, for instance, Daniel. Daniel was at the beginning, Daniel was seeking the spotlight, as in, I was running, ahead of the drones and the helicopters, looking for Jack and Lilly, type, I'm a hero type thing. I mean, he was wanting to paint himself, in a limelight, as some type of, truthful savior of these kids. And yeah, and he was just, he was trying too hard. He was trying too hard for my likings. He was just trying too damn hard. And then, and he was also like, Malaya didn't do anything, after she had this last baby. If it wasn't for me, Jack and Lily wouldn't have been getting, fed and bathed and dressed and taken care of. Like, he was like, I was taking, well, actually, his real words were, if it wasn't for me, the kids wouldn't be getting taken care of. That's what he said. And we just assumed, I guess we just assumed that it was, bathing and feeding and dressing and, and making sure they stayed clean and so forth and so on. I think, and I'm sure that's probably, probably how he assumed we was going to take it. Because, see, we want to think the best. Because we're good people, we always want to think the best of other people. We don't want to see, we don't want to see the evil in other folks. We try to turn blind eyes to the evil in them and just try to, seek and see the good, because that's what we want to see. Most people, I guess even the devil would be likable, I would assume. And, in a world we live in, everybody wants, friends, not foes. Very few people, want foes, but that's usually what you got. You got that you're calling friends is foes. And, and I think that, we don't want to see the evil in people. We don't want to face it. We don't want to see it. And I think everybody knows it's there, and they do see it. They just, turning a blind eye and hoping for the best and letting go of the rest and whatever. But that, and that's what I think we made our mistake when he said, if it wasn't for me, taking care of those kids, they wouldn't have got taken care of. He could have been talking about, he could have been basically saying, if I wasn't taking care of those kids, they wouldn't have been taken care of, as in the little heathens. The little heathens would have, wouldn't have been minding themselves. They wouldn't have been, doing what they needed to do if it wasn't for me disciplining them, if it wasn't for me, ordering them around, if it wasn't for me, being the boss in here. That's the way he could have meant it. But we didn't want to see that, right? We didn't want to see it or even think about it, because, we have a different type of thinking than most folks. I think it's a beautiful thing to be kind and caring and loving and all of these great things for folks. I think it's beautiful. We should be like Jesus. We're supposed to be like Jesus and care about everybody, but we're also supposed to be like Jesus, as in knowing what we're dealing with, seeing people for who they exactly are, and knowing when to to shake the dust from our feet and move on. We also need to be, able to spot evilness and stay away from it, and leave it to, to God, and let God deal with it in his own way. We shouldn't be trying to deal with it at all, right? Unless we're forced to, and then it probably wouldn't be good. But, the point being is, I don't think, I don't think we catch everything, for what it is, because, we got rose-colored glasses on, right? We have these rose-colored glasses on, wanting to see all the good, and we're missing some very valuable information, because, we got pure minds. We got pure minds, and our minds don't think like evil people's, right? And when your mind don't think like theirs, you can get got. You can get got. And like I said, it's very possible he wasn't, we're the ones that took it wrong. I don't, I don't exactly, I can't say, that's exactly the way he was thinking, but I think he was. I think he was. I mean, if I had to, if I had to say, well, when he made that particular statement, that he was taking care of them, if it wasn't for him taking care of them, they wouldn't have been taken care of. I think, if I had to choose, which way this guy was, meant at, I think I would choose, the discipline. If it wasn't for me bossing them, disciplining them, I think I would say it was the little heathen thing instead of, feeding and clothing and the righteous taking care of these kids. Because if it was the righteous way, I think he would have just said, what he was doing. If he meant it the righteous way, I think, it would have came out differently. I think, if he meant it the righteous way, he would have said, if it wasn't for me, feeding these kids and clothing these kids and doing everything for these kids, feeding them up and taking them to the bus and picking them up, and they wouldn't have been surviving, because their mother, after having this last baby, just basically turned her back on them and left them to hang out and dry, and and I didn't know what else to do other than just pick up and take care of them and make sure they had everything they needed. I think he would have been more self-explanatory. And because like he said, he went running past the drones and the helicopter, and I mean, he was really putting in all the effort, and all the things to get that limelight on him. So somebody looking for limelight like that, I think if he meant that statement to be all the good things, he would have said all the good things instead of saying, if I wasn't taking care of them, they wouldn't have got taken care of. Meaning, discipline wise, being good kids, not acting out, doing what they're supposed to be doing up until the point they disappeared, right? So it sounds to me like something really bad might have went awry, and we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to talk about that because there's some suspicious stuff in Jack and Lily's case here. Some real suspicious stuff. I don't think they're somewhere out there in the wooded area, anywhere out there in the wooded areas. And I say that because, there was 100 people and then 160 some people. And since then, a lot more people, that just volunteered off their own backs to go out there and really, go over this place like a fine-tooth comb. And those kids would have been crying, they would have been screaming, and I'm going to tell you, one thing we know out in the wooded areas or in the mountains or, caves or whatever, screams, especially of children, a cry of a baby, a scream of a child or a woman, or a man hollering, right? We know it echoes. It echoes like hell through a forest. It echoes through, through the mountains. It will echo. And, and definitely, those kids got out there, they would have been screaming, they would have been crying. It wouldn't have took much to figure out where they was and pick them up pretty quickly. And two of them going at it at the same time. I'm going to tell you, you could have probably heard all of that up in heaven, to be honest with you. You got two kids out there, wailing and screaming and carrying on, like that. And I heard Lilly, at the birthday party, Lilly was, really getting loud. She was really getting loud and told to stop it. So, she had one of them piercing voices. And no way. I'm going to tell you right now, I think you could have heard that in heaven. It may have even shook heaven a little, to be honest with you. So I don't think they were anywhere out there to be found. That's my opinion. That's just my opinion. Because law enforcement was, on it right away within 20 to 30 minutes of these kids wandering off. And children really cannot get that far. They can't get that far at that age, being so scared. And she's got her brother with her that she's got to keep an eye on and trying to hold on to. And to be honest with you, and if they got split up somehow, they would have found one or the other. And they found nothing. I heard they also found, supposedly a piece of blanket and a footprint somewhere else, which, seemed, why would a kid take a blanket with it? Why would a child be taking a blanket with it? That, that's insane. No kids are going to be pulling blankets out of the house, and dragging it through the woods. These kids wanted to go outside, and grandma said they were outside playing on the swing and running around. And, they're not going to have a blanket out there. How are you going to swing if you're carrying a blanket all over the place? How are you going to run and play and have fun with a big blanket? I don't believe that shit. I really don't believe it. But they did supposedly find a piece of blanket that the mother supposed to have identified as a piece of one of the children's, belonging to one of the children. And supposedly they found, a footprint way off, somewhere in the vicinity of that blanket as well. It sounds like it was planted to me. Just saying.
The siblings' stepfather Martel told that the police had retrieved surveillance footage of himself, Brooks Murray, their 1-year-old baby, as well as Lily and Jack in nearby New Glasgow, but that the precise location of where the footage took place could not be disclosed because it may impact the ongoing investigation. June 2025. On June 11th, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Agency provided an update on the case stating that their intensive approach to the investigation is continuing. The police agency elaborated that the investigation may take longer than they had hoped, and that they are considering all possible scenarios and are partnering with agencies across the country. The agency said more than 11 Nova Scotia RCMP units are working on the case, including the Major Crime Unit and the Criminal Analysis Service. The agency disclosed key details of the ongoing investigation, including that hundreds of hours of video of the areas surrounding the location of the disappearance had been collected, that they had formally interviewed 54 people in connection with the investigation, which included the administration of polygraph testing, and that many of the 488 tips they've received have been assessed. The agency confirmed they'd been granted numerous legal authorizations to seize and examine materials and devices that may prove useful to the investigation. Corporal Matheru, identified as the lead investigator on the case, stated that the RCMP is accessing, evaluating and analyzing a significant volume of information from a variety of sources, and that they have a very coordinated and deliberate approach which they say will ensure that all information is meticulously scrutinized, prioritized, and actioned to ensure nothing is missed.
Now, the area where they was the day before, law enforcement don't want that particular area talked about. They don't want, no one giving it out, where the surveillance was, that the mom and where that Daniel and Malaya and the 3 children were the day before. That, they supposedly was seen in town somewhere, at a certain location. You got to wonder what kind of reputation that particular location, has, that they don't want anyone knowing about it. Is it a location that has, a reputation of, bad stuff going on, like trafficking or illegal substance going on in there? What kind of place is it? And why do they not, want the location disclosed to the public? You got to wonder about that too. It's obviously something sensitive about that particular location for them to want to be, withholding it from all of us, which is, really weird. But Daniel gave out, not the exact location, but a surrounding, the surrounding location. Like, he gave you enough info to be able to research into it and possibly, spread out a little bit to find out what kind of activity goes on in that particular surrounding area there. And it might give us a better idea of why law enforcement don't want it disclosed. Sometimes you got to do your own research, basically. But I find that suspicious too. I mean, it's almost like it could be a link, it could be a link to what they feel possibly happened with Jack and Lilly. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just tired of the BS. I'm tired of the lies. Now this is, the mother hasn't came out and really talked in a while. Malaya has not came out and overly talked to people in a while. So, with that being said, she's just now coming out again, after running off with mommy and hanging out with her girlfriends and running the beach and, and having a whole lot of me time, free time, and everything for a long time, right? For a long time, since the kid's been missing, actually. She's decided, that she wants to throw some light on herself now. And she came back out and says Daniel is only lying to the media. And I don't know why. He is just lying to he is not lying to the police or Child Protective Services. Both our statements to the police are the same, but the media had a complete different story, blaming me. I don't know why. Okay. I think that, I don't think it's Daniel's words that's, making the media look bad at this mother. I think it's the fact that this mother, instead of staying there and refusing to leave until her children are found, she takes off with her mommy and goes completely to another place and hides that ass all the way up until now. All the way up until now. And what are you supposed to think? What are you supposed to think when when a mother isn't even out there? She can go to the damn beach, but she can't go out in the woods and try to figure out what happened to her children. She can hang out with all of her little girlfriends and, talk a bunch of BS and a bunch of stuff to all of these so-called friends of hers. And she can be out there partying and she can be out there seeking a new life, but she can't be out there talking to law enforcement, hanging with law enforcement and trying to get her children back. Right? So how in the hell are you supposed to feel about a mother like this? What are you supposed to say about someone that does this? I mean, even Daniel said, and I believe him, that, she turned her back on those two kids and if it wasn't for, what little bit him and his family was doing, the kids would have been gone a long time ago because she wasn't watching them. She wasn't taking care of them. She done gave up on them. She just wanted to lay back there in that bedroom, obviously doing her illegal substances, partying up and messing up. And thank God the baby was back there, right back there, because it was too little to be anywhere else. But thank goodness that it was back there and it didn't get gone too. What does she expect people to think or believe about her? Right? That I don't understand the mind frame of humans. It's like I don't understand the mind frames of humans like this. It's almost, I guess the word would be I'm dipshit, right? I guess the word dipshit would fit this, particular scenario the best. Because, they think that they think that we're supposed to put these mother freakers on a pedestal when they ain't doing shit for nobody but themselves. Like these people think that, they should be able to make all of these mistakes and everybody should just, still treat them as if they done nothing at all wrong. These people don't see the wrong that they did. In their mind, they don't see the wrong that they did. I don't think this Malaya understands, the wrong that she has done. She's one of those people, blame everything but herself. Blame Danny, blame this, blame that, everything but herself. She ain't going to blame herself. And he ain't going to blame himself either because he's got the same exact mind frame. Just like Don and Candace and Grandis. I mean, Don Wells had the audacity, to actually say, Summer liked being outside and that was her downfall. Right? That was her downfall. I don't think Summer's going to make it into heaven. I'm really worried about her soul because, of my sins and the sins I was committing with that child. And that's my opinion. But he said it. He said that he didn't think that his daughter is going to get into heaven. And, it's like he was blaming Summer. As he told Mary, I used to think, when I was doing bad stuff to, Mary's sister, I thought, I thought that, she cared about me, that she liked it, that it meant something. But now, I got older, and now I know that, kids are just curious. Well, how would you know that? How would you know that if you ain't doing something with the child? How would you know that? And that's when, and he made the same, and he made a statement at around that time that, Summer wasn't going to get to, that he didn't believe she's going to go to heaven. He was blaming, he's basically blaming her for his own sins. Just like, he was blaming Mary's sister for his own sins. I'm telling you, these people don't think right. There's, and it's worse than a screw being loose. It's way worse than a screw being loose. Right? And I think that, this is the same thing going on in the Jack and Lily's case. I think you have a couple, you have the Don and Candace and Grandis walking around in that particular case as well, not really understanding, the evil that I believe they have done. That's my opinion. They don't know how to take self-blame. And a lot of people don't know how to take self-blame. A lot of people cannot blame oneself. And, it's a shame. But I think it comes from people, I think it comes from the parents. I think it comes from like Donald's dad. Let's not blame little Donnie. Let's not blame little Donnie. And I think, let's blame Mary, and let's blame these girls for being girls, but don't blame little Donnie. And I think his mommy was the same way. Don't be blaming my son. Don't be blaming little Donnie. And Donnie didn't ever, it's his friends. It's these girls being girls. It's, everything except freaking what it truly was. Sick in the mind little Donnie that needed help, and they should have been getting some for him, because he just got worse as he got older. They didn't help him by blaming everybody else. They didn't do him no justice by blaming everyone else. They created a monster, and that's what he is, and one that don't know how to take self-blame. And Candace Wells is the exact same way. Candace wants to blame everything and everybody but her damn self for being an evil human that she is. And I believe that is the exact same way these people are in Jack and Lily's case as well. I don't think they want to blame themselves. They're putting on an act. They're trying to, they're trying to suck in all of this pity for themselves. They want everybody to feel sorry for them, and to, and to pity them, and all of this BS. And I'm going to tell you, I just can't do it. I can't do it where children are missing. I can't do it. I don't care about suspects, and that's exactly what Daniel is. That's exactly what Malaya is. That's exactly what Daniel's brother is, and his mother is, and all of them guys are. They're freaking suspects, just like Don and Candace and Grandis and all of those people surrounding Summer's case. These people are all suspects. None of them have been cleared by law enforcement that I've heard of. I haven't heard law enforcement come out and say, hey, these people are cleared. We don't believe that that they're involved in any way with these children's disappearance. I haven't heard that. I heard that Daniel supposedly took a lie detector's test, and I didn't hear whether he passed it or not. He said he passed it. I didn't hear anyone else say he did. Put a 1 in the chat if you heard anyone else say that Daniel passed the lie detector's test. Put a 1 in the chat, because I ain't heard nobody say it other than Daniel. Only one I heard was him. And Don and Candace, they also said they passed it, but I didn't hear no law enforcement coming out saying they did. And that leads me to believe that they didn't. That's just my opinion. I don't think they did. Just saying. And I don't think they're going to go on that land and, and tear grandma's camper apart 3 different times. If they really felt that somebody else did this, if they really felt the kids just wandered off, or somebody else came on the property and walked off with the kids, they wouldn't have be in there tearing grandma's camper apart 3 damn times and going all over that property and all inside and out of Daniel's place. They wouldn't be in the chicken coops and all the, they wouldn't have been lifting the chickens up, right? They wouldn't have been lifting the chickens up, looking underneath them, if they thought that somebody else did this. So these people are suspects. And if they're all passing lie detectors test, law enforcement wouldn't be in there, combing one end of their freaking housing to the other end. If that was the case, that's just my opinion. I'm going to keep it. Also, Daniel's mother, she waited 10 weeks to come out. Just, why didn't she speak up from day one? Why didn't this lady speak up from day one? Could somebody answer that? I just read what Ziggy posted about Tim Mullins and Don. He's sick, and Tim Mullins' father above there, Dotson Funeral Homes. Wow, that's huge. And Tim Mullins' dad and his mother, I believe, are passed away now. Tim Mullins is like 70 years old. I think both of his parents are deceased. And he lives, I believe he lives in the house where he got married. But I think, when his wife passed away, I think his mother did live with him for a while because her husband was deceased. And his mother stayed with him for a while. But I believe that she passed away as well now. And so I wouldn't take what Ziggy says with a grain of salt. I'm going to tell you, she's got Fred Hill sitting over there, babbling off the top of his freaking head. We're talking about a guy that has changed his story like 100 times in Summer's case. We're talking about a guy that says, you know, June 15th, 2021, him and Laura were supposed to be going to the Crushers. They were hauling cars that day. They was going to the Crushers. You know, one day they said that they didn't make it, that they had, you know, that they didn't make it in time. And then the next time we hear from them, they said, oh yeah, we did make it. We made it to the Crusher. On that particular day, and that's why we didn't get back into Ben Hill Road until after law enforcement was there. And that's how we found out, you know, that this little girl's missing. It's when we came back in from being at the Crushers, because after we got some money at the Crushers, we stopped at the store and had to get some things that we needed before we headed back into Ben Hill Road. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember hearing Fred Hill say that. Because I sure the hell did. And I'm going to tell you, I got a mother freaking memory. I don't forget shit. Once I hear it, baby, is stuck there. And I'm telling you, that's exactly the motherfucking story I heard out of Fred Hill's mouth. And I'm going to tell you, you know, I have kind of, you know, been nice. I've been very nice, you know, very nice where Fred was concerned, because I felt that trying to get law enforcement to look into the cemetery over there and to take care of, you know, bigger fish was more important. And I let that little fish just lay. I've let it lay. But I'm going to tell you something. I'm not going to let it lay no more. I'm not going to let it lay no more, because I'm going to tell you why. Fred Hill has done nothing but lied in Summer's case, just like Don Wells and Candace. He's played his fucking games along with Jody Sue and Andy's, just like the Wells, just like Marlena and them. All of these motherfuckers have been getting off on playing games in a 5-year-old missing little girl's case, because they all were connected at the hip doing some sinister, evil shit. And I'm going to tell you now, if Ziggy wants to stand outside the prison fucking gate and marry up a damn, you know, #1 suspect in a 5-year-old little girl's missing case, and she wants to stand out there and pick up a mother freaking prisoner that, you know, is also a suspect in Cotton Simpson's case as well, you know, then so be it. So be it. But I'm going to tell you now, I'm not going to let Fred and Ziggy sit over there and spread bullshit fucking lies to try to throw monkey wrenches in Summer's case so Summer doesn't get found. And that's what the hell. And I'm going to tell you, Fred has been keeping really close contact with a lot of undesirable fucking people back in Tennessee to be able to keep all of this shit going. And I'm telling you, he's talking to them. They're talking to him. Matter of fact, he's friends with Don Wells. You know, he's friends with Don Wells. He's friends with Andy Bernard. Actually, he's Andy's cousin. He's very close to his cousin Andy. He's close to all of these people. Ziggy doesn't care what Fred did. As long as he's going to do the dirty deed in her bed and give up his Social Security check every month, she don't give a damn about what happened to Cotton, and she doesn't give a damn about what happened to Summer. Let me tell you that right now. Ziggy is for nobody but her damn self. Just saying. And that nasty freaking Cher was for nobody but herself as well. I don't, you know, if you want to hear the truth, then I'll tell you the truth. Don't think I won't. And Cher was too busy sending Dawn ass pics and any other kind of thing she could, because she freaking had it. She had something for Don Wells. She got something for him. I don't know what, but you know, that's her. You know, that's her fucking devil to deal with, not mine. She was a lying mother freaking two-faced hoe trying to say that PG, you know, was the one doing everything that this bitch was doing. And like I always said, when you hear somebody talk, you learn a lot more about them than you ever will yourself, or the one they're talking about, right? Because people only know themselves; they don't know nobody else. So they're talking about their own asses because they're not fucking educated in psychology. They're not educated to understand and know about the human body and the mind. They haven't ever, achieved a high school diploma, let alone anything else. Just saying. And they're out there, only thing they share was after was, click, likes, and views, all she could bank in the mother freaking bank. And, wanting to talk to Don Wells and, feel like she still fucking had it when it was gone a long goddamn time ago. Right? This is the bitch that sits up there and abuses cats and walked off on her own kids to go marry up some other mother freaker over in Canada, right? I have no respect for them people. She's the one that kept shutting Dawn down, so we couldn't get the information that we could have had today to possibly solve Summer's case. Every time we was about to get some good stuff out of Candace's drunk mouth or Don Wells, she would hang up. I'm protecting you, Donnie, because you make me feel like I still got it. I'm protecting you, Donnie, because who would I send ass pics to if you wasn't around? Who else would want to look at my ass? Fucking nobody. Ain't nobody else as hard up as Don Wells. Look at him, who he's got, Candace. Come on. Get real. Cher didn't care about Summer either. She didn't care about solving Summer's case. She didn't care about any of that. She's just like Benny Keys. Matter of fact, she was, hooked at the hips with Benny Keys at that time. Her and Benny was, a mother freaking twosome. Let's snatch a kid and gang. They didn't care what kid they snatched. They ain't interested in the kid. They're interested in their bank account. Right? And I'm going to tell you something. Fred Hill wants to steer people away from that mother freaking boneyard of freaking cars. He don't want you going and looking up the cars that he took away and scrapped in those scrap yards. He don't want you going there because why? Because why? Could it have something, could it have some DNA of Cotton? Even if they didn't find something of Summer, they possibly going to find something, leading him back to Cotton. I mean, this guy was hit pretty damn hard in the head. Fred knew exactly where that hit was. And I'm sure that big hit in the back of the head bled. And there probably was some blood somewhere, right? So Fred probably don't want, the car found that his ass drove up and over the fucking hill the same day he followed Cotton. And now he's trying to say he didn't. Well, I'm going to tell you something. I got video recording of Fred Hill saying that him and another guy followed Cotton the same day that Cotton ended up dead over that hill. There you go. And now he's trying to renege on that. Because this is the bullshit fucking games, he likes to play. He thinks he can gaslight people. And Ziggy sits over there, not caring about anyone but her damn self as well. We know that. By all the old women she took to the cleaners for the retirement funds, right? To buy her cars, to pay her bills, to send her DoorDash. She's a motherfucking user. She laid low key, hoping everybody would forget about all the dirty shit she done, including going down there and marrying up a mother freaking number one suspect that has done nothing but fucking lied. In Summer's case, in Cotton's case, and everything. He can't tell the truth if it was to save his life. And now she's back out here. Round 2. Let me see if I can, let me see if I can mother freaking, use and abuse a whole lot more people with Summer's name again. Well, I'm not going to stand by and allow it. I'll tell you that right now. So somebody take their ass back over to Ziggy and let Ziggy know that this shit won't be tolerated. There you go. Yeah, I do have a mirror in front of me, Grizzle. And let me tell you about that mirror. I love what the hell I see. Because what I see is a mother freaking brilliant, beautiful human being that tells the fucking truth. Do you like what you see? Why don't you answer that, Grizzle? Do you like what the fuck you see? Come on. Answer that question. Do you like to see little 5-year-old girls be used and abused? Do you like to see a bunch of suspects around them tell fucking lies and play games so the little girl can't be found, brought home, and justice served on her behalf? Are you out here for the missing kids? Or are you out here to suck suspects' backsides? Why don't you answer that? Mods, get that piece of crap the hell up out of my chat. Give her a steel-toe boot in the ass. See you, Grizzle. Wouldn't want to be you, bitch. There you go. I ain't got time for garbage like Grizzle. She can go to PG hell. Don't time her out. Boot her out. Let her go over there and suck on the freaking dirty sweat of an ex-mother freaking prisoner that smelly up Ziggy waited to come out of the prison gate so she could marry it up, okay? We know what he was laying around with, and we know where he was laying around. Honey, I got the pictures to show it. A motherfucking ex-junkie, right? And I don't even think it's an ex, to be honest with you. I don't think that Fred is any more clean today than he was down there up inside of that holler. He can sit and say, oh, I got to wait on my probation officer to call. I got to take these drug drops and this and that. I'm going to tell you, you know what? He knows when they're going, by now he knows when they're going to call, when they're going to ask, what they're going to do. He knows all of that stuff. He knows how to buy the stuff that detoxes you, right? Everybody knows how to get the stuff to detox. So that when you get there, a lot of time, and I wouldn't doubt it. I would suspect it's possibly they're, having somebody else, somebody else drop for them, I wouldn't put it past, the plastic bottle drop where it's somebody else's stuff and not theirs. But I'm going to tell you the way Ziggy sits there and she scratches and she picks at herself and she, I'm going to tell you that right there alone lets you know that this chick has a mother freaking bad habit. It lets you know that she is on some hardcore shit. Because you don't sit there and be picking at yourself and pulling your sleeve and pulling this and pulling that and can't sit still in a mother freaking chair, right? And I'm going to tell you what. She's not going to keep that habit up off of Summer's back. Just saying. Ain't going to happen. I think her ass needs to detox. I think she needs to detox. Get off that shit and start raising your daughter right. Right? Why don't you try that for a change? I hear that her kid has all kinds of mother freaking mental problems. Don't want to go out in public, don't want to do this, don't want to do that. Where does that, where is all of those problems coming from? She should have left that little girl with her mother so her mother could have continued sending the little girl to school, letting her have friends, letting her have a normal life instead of, Ziggy bringing her into that house and changing her life for the worse, if you ask me, for the worst. And Fred tells me that this daughter has people in that house, and he don't want these boys and these people she's bringing into that house, in that house or around that house, because he don't want those people seeing the stuff going on in there and possibly reporting it to his probation officer, and he's going to end up back in the clink. Because if you ain't doing nothing inside of a place, then you don't care who's in there. You don't care who's hanging around in there. The door's always open. And it's not like a girlfriend. It's not like a girlfriend she's bringing in. She's bringing in dudes. She's bringing in a guy. I'm going to tell you, my teenage daughter ain't going to drag no dude in the house. She might drag him in, but I'm going to tell you what. He'll be drugged back out. And he won't show up again. Because I ain't tolerating that shit. My daughter has an education to focus on. She has girlfriends to go to the movies with. She's got girlfriends to hang out with. She has a teenage life to enjoy being a teenager. If she wants to get drugged around once she becomes 19, 20, 21, then go get drugged. But as long as she's under my roof and she's underage, she's going to go by my rules. And she's going to keep that ass goody good. And that's just how it is. I ain't going to put up with no punk coming around messing my daughter up. Ain't happening. I'm freaking raising God-fearing, law-abiding, substance-free, and alcohol-free children. Honey, it ain't what you can take with you. It's what you left behind. And I want to leave behind good, upstanding people who's going to be a plus to this world instead of a damn minus. I ain't got time for that shit. So somebody can go spread the message. Grizzle can run over there and she can spread the message. Go toot the fucking horn, honey. then I'm not going to sit around and listen to a bunch of lies in Summer's case. Especially when they're coming out of Fred Hill's mouth that don't know how to tell the truth. There you go. There you go. You know, why did they feel it was so important to go live in the fucking early morning hours? I mean, these people ain't even going to bed. They're not even going to bed. They're staying up all night and sleeping all fucking day. You know what kind of people stay up all night and sleep all fucking day? It ain't like they're working. They're not working no graveyard shift, baby. They got that assed up, stinking all damn night and laying around in a bed stinking all day long. Because they don't work. They're always looking for someone else to fucking live off of. They're damn bums. They're fucking bums, and we know it. And it makes me sick to watch them bums use and abuse people out here and tell all their fucking bullshit lies to do it with. It sickens the hell out of me. And you know, I've had enough. I've had enough. These, you know, people really, I don't know if people like being used or abused or not. I don't know. I don't think you would want to be used and abused by some mother freaking, you know, people like that's picking herself. I mean, when people pick themselves like that, they're looking for their next fix. You know, that's just an obvious right there. We all know it. We've seen enough of these people. I'm going to tell you, I have been at funerals of many of these people. Yeah, I called them friends. When I was down in the cesspool, in a mother freaking, they call it a hood, I call it mother freaking garbage. In the pits of freaking Hades. But I see many of them. Laying in a box. They was picking herself one too many damn times, baby. And they didn't have to worry about ever picking themselves again. And they would use and abuse and mess over whoever they had to get that fix. And they would let themselves be used and abused and messed over to get that fix. It was a hard thing to watch, a hard thing to see. In a place that no human should ever be. But many are. Many are. And I really don't care how Ziggy gets her next fix, picking her ass, pulling her sleeves, can't sit still for 5 seconds. I don't care how she gets her next one, but I'm not going to let her use Summer to do it. Or any other missing kid out here. These kids deserve respect, man. And they're not getting none from them people. And that's bullshit. It's bullshit. And I'm just tired of watching it. Somebody's got to speak up. Somebody's got to speak up for these babies. Somebody's got to demand some respect for these kids. Just saying. Just saying. But I'm going to tell you what. I'm bringing the receipts to the table. I'm bringing the receipts to the table that everything Fred's been saying is nothing but fucking lies and bullshit. Oh, I'm going to turn it loose. And I really don't give a F. I'm tired of it. I think somebody, matter of fact, I'm going to get everyone I can to start looking into his old vehicles. I think law enforcement needs to, to really solve Cotton's case. I think they really need to solve Summer's case. And I really think they need to start by checking into Fred's mother freaking vehicles for blood samples and any other type of DNA that can possibly be found that belongs to Summer or Cotton Simpson. No, Fred, he's on YouTube, but he doesn't have a channel, as in Ziggy has a channel. I'm going to tell you something. Cher got nothing. She got nothing out of Dom Wells but fucking used and abused. Because why? Because she's a mother freaking substance abuse person as well. Illegal substance abuse. She sits around, and worries about, getting all messed up that way instead of getting the truth for these missing children. She let anything that could have benefited Summer, she let it go down the drain because she didn't care. She was just wanting the spotlight for herself, and that's it. Just like she went and got in Quentin's case and had all those people donate her money saying she was going to go up there to where Quentin lived and she was going to stand strong with Billy Joe and she was going to, do all these great things. And all these people supported her lying bitch ass and she didn't go nowhere. Because if she comes back into the United States, her ass is going to get arrested. It's going to get arrested more than likely for, child abandonment, no child support, all kinds of, things, and abusing animals, right? She abused animals. And people really want to listen to that. People want to listen to someone that could do so much evil. They really going to listen to him? I'm not going to listen to no one. And then she sits over there in the devil's fucking lair, right? And talks a bunch of shit. It's like being caught in hell if Jesus comes back. You really want to be caught in hell if the Lord comes back? I don't think that I want to hear Jesus tell me, hey, obviously this is where you belong because it's where you like to be. And Ziggy's no better, playing with those woo-woo fucking cards and doing all kinds of weird shit. They're all fucking weird. They're all fucking weird. Bunch of mother freaking devil worshippers. And you're really going to believe what they say? You're really going to take the time to, aid and abet them in their freaking evilness? I don't think so. I don't aid and abet evilness. I stay the hell away from it. No, they don't fear the Lord. That's their problem. That's their problem, not mine. You know, I'm busy trying to take myself and whoever else is, you know, willing to listen on the righteous path. And the ones that don't, well, I shake the dust from my feet and I really don't care. Ain't my problem. Hell is dark and it's very hot and it's very real. If they don't know it, that's their problem, not PG's. Just saying. I'm hurt in a way no one can understand. I want my children back home to me. Should have thought about that before you was laying on your ass till fucking noon and not getting up and taking care of your children and making sure that, you know, whatever happened to them didn't happen. There you go. Right? She should have thought of that before. You know, it shouldn't be an afterthought. It should be a before thought. According to what I've heard, he apparently likes the attention. It's disgusting. Know what's disgusting is a mother getting out of an ambulance, running her ass around the corner, jumping in the car with mommy, and skedaddling the hell out of Dodge when her children are somewhere out there needing to be supposedly found, and you don't stick behind to find them. And when you don't stick behind to find them and you run off the way you ran and you went and hid and you kept your mouth shut all this time, it tells me that your mother freaking guilty as hell of something. Because you don't run off if you're innocent. That's just my opinion. I'm going to keep that too. What's disgusting is having a mother that lays around in bed and doesn't know how to get up and take care of her kids. His true colors have unfortunately come out in the worst way. It's like I never knew who he really was. Bitch, you knew exactly what the hell he was, and you was exactly like him. Come on. You know, you lay down with the dog, you get up with fleas, right? And you didn't mind getting up with fleas. No, I can't see Daniel hurting children. I can't see him. He's a disgusting human being, a very disgusting human being that tells big lies to the media and everybody. He's an attention seeker. He's a worthless human, somebody that you know, she just said she didn't even know him, that she has no idea who he really is, but she can't see him hurting a child. Go figure. Go figure. Right? Because she knows if she gives his ass up, he's going to give her ass up. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing, wait a minute, let me recant on this so you know he doesn't give me up. Daniel and his mother and his brother, timeless, don't match up. Timelines don't match up in the media. But that is not what is being said to police. That is why their lies are okay. You can't get in trouble for lying to the media. Wow, I'm telling you, these motherfuckers straight up was watching Summer's case. Because that's what we said when Jody Sue said, go ask Andy what he was supplying for those, you know, for Summer, right? And those other little girls to be touched. You go ask him what he was giving Candace to sedate those little. And when law enforcement went, Jody Sue, we want to talk to you, you know, I can say what I want as long as I don't say it to you, slam the door. Right? And we talked about that. We talked about that. So it sounds like these motherfreakers right here has been watching a whole lot of the Summer Wells case. And it don't shock me. It don't shock me, and I'll tell you why. Because Candace was watching other cases as well. When Summer, right after Summer went missing, yeah, I was talking to her and she was listening. She was listening to different cases. So she could, you know, so she could use some of, you know, some of that stuff to keep her own ass, you know. She was figuring out the do's and the don'ts. That's what she was figuring out. And that's what these people do. That's what they do. So don't, you know, don't underestimate them listening and learning, you know, from other cases, because that's what they do when they're guilty as fuck and they're trying to get away with it. And oh man, they go to the internet and they start looking at those cases, how people got busted and how they got away with it, because they don't want to get that ass put in prison. I am grateful and appreciative for the support and love for Jack and Lilly. I can't express that enough. My children are my everything. No, your children ain't your everything when you were laying your ass around in a bed, letting some freaking boyfriend have at and take care of your children instead of you. They're not your everything. Don't come out here and try to mother freaking gaslight the people into believing that you were some fucking mommy of the year when your ass was nothing but a damn problem. And you wasn't doing shit for your kids. You hadn't even got up that morning and fixed them breakfast. Those babies are gone, and they're gone hungry. Just like Summer. Just like Summer. Didn't even have breakfast. They didn't even get to go out of this world with breakfast. Yeah, lazy. I'm going to tell you, you'd be surprised at how many women lay around and mother freaking stank. You would not believe how many women lay around and they don't want to cook, they don't want to clean, they don't want to do nothing. They just want to lay around and send up a stench, right? Off their nasty ass. They don't want to take care of the kids, they don't want to take care of the house, they don't want to work a job, they don't want to do anything. They just want to lay around and stink. That's it. That's it. They don't even bother to get up unless there's going to be a party or something. That's what motivates them. What motivates them is to get up to go get their next illegal fixes. That's what motivates them. They're worthless. They're worthless. These are some pictures of the children. Beautiful, beautiful little girl, beautiful little boy. Amazing kids. Amazing kids. Loved by many, and now loved by the world. Because a few people didn't love them enough to protect them and keep them safe. They're adorable. Absolutely adorable. I'm going to tell you, I like to say that, most people don't know what they got until it's gone. But I'm going to tell you what, I don't think this woman knew what she had even after it was gone. I ain't even sure she knows what she had now. I think she says Daniel is just wanting attention. Like I said, when people like her talk, they're telling us a lot more about themselves than she's telling us about Daniel. She's seeking attention now. She's out here. She wants attention. She's seeking attention. She's wanting everybody. She's wanting a pity party. And you know what? We ain't giving her one. Because we don't do motherfucking pity parties no more. That pity party shit, man, that's so fucking yesterday. Everybody got tired of it. We got tired of hearing about everybody's mother effing problems. Right? They wore it the hell out. They wore it the hell out and depressed the hell out of people long enough, and we're done with it. We're done with it. We ain't handing out pity parties no more. We're handing out, get off your damn ass and do what needs to be done to take care of yourself, your children, your house, and your family. We're handing out, if you ain't got enough sense to obey the law and do what needs to be done in this life, then let the law put you where you need to be. We ain't giving out no pity parties anymore. We want this world to be safe, and we want all children to be safe. And if you are not safe around children, then you need to be somewhere else, like in prison, right? We ain't handing out no pity parties. We don't give a damn how you grew up. Because, how you grew up don't give you a reason to fuck up. There's people who grow up a hell of a lot worse, and they don't fuck up like that. We don't care. We don't care about your childhood. What we care about is your adulthood. If you had a bad childhood, break the chains and become a different person in your adulthood. If you're holding to tradition and you knew it was wrong, then your ass needs to be punished. Whether your parents were punished or not, you need to be punished because you knew what they were doing was wrong and you know you shouldn't have did it. Let's not take it back 5 generations. Let's take it back and stop it with this one. Yeah, I don't want to hear people's bullshit. I don't hand out petty parties. I don't hand that shit out. What I hand out is the truth. Nothing but the truth, because the truth is the only thing that's going to find these kids, bring them home, and get justice for them. And I believe in what the law's handing out, and I believe in what the courthouse is handing out. It's called mother freaking sentences for people that don't know how to follow the law, don't want to obey the law, and don't want to walk the line like they're supposed to in this life. No child should ever be taken out of this world. And law enforcement done said that they do not believe these children right here are alive any longer. They believe wherever they are, they're deceased. These babies didn't deserve that. They didn't deserve that. I'm going to tell you, little Lily and Jack, they sure had style, didn't they? They knew how to dress. They knew how to dress. She's wearing her shades. Those kids just wanted to be loved and cared about. They just wanted someone to put a roof over their head, food in their little belly, a warm blanket on their bed, and let them know that they were safe and cared for. That's all they wanted. And they should have been getting it. They should have been getting it, you guys. Boy, he was cute as a button, wasn't he? And those were very, look at them. Those kids, just like Summer, you couldn't get them down. You couldn't get these 2 babies down. You know, they was going to laugh and they was going to smile and they was going to make the best out of what they had. Well, they had it. Little Jack turned 2 years old in these pictures. Look at him. He was just adorable. Absolutely adorable. You know, it don't take much to make children happy. Children, you know, they don't want all that stuff. They want somebody to just spend time with them. You know, they would rather have your attention than all the toys in the world. They just want to feel safe and know that they're safe. And there's the pizza. Seems like all of these people feed their kids a slice of pizza, right? Here's a bowl of cereal. Here's a slice of pizza. Here's a cold freaking, you know, hot dog. Piece of bologna. Unbelievable. You know, you'd be surprised at how many kids don't know what scrambled eggs and bacon and toast and potatoes taste like. Because they don't get it. They don't get it. Okay. Get ready, you guys. Get ready because, you know, the next, what I'm about to pop up ain't no little kids. It's grandma. It's grandma, step grandma. There she is. There she is. She was out there telling, the news all about it. She was talking about how I don't like to be on camera and I don't like radios, but I called you up and I told you to come out here so you could take pictures and video me and I can tell you all this bullshit that, was going down so that maybe I can gaslight and smoke screen y'all to, get law enforcement off our asses because they already tore my camper apart 3 times and I really don't want them coming back. So, it's time to get the news in here and to do all these things, 10 weeks later. Wasn't saying nothing day one because I didn't really know what to say. I hadn't got my story together yet. But after I've been able to put it all together, I decided to call you out here. Now you can take pictures and video and do all the things. And I've got my story, straight and ready to, gaslight and blow smoke up your backside. So come closer. Come closer so Granny can see you. Want to make sure we hear you. Right? What the hell? What the hell? Let's go over the day Jack and Lily went missing. Well, I was right here in my camper. I was right there in my camper and I was having, some of something. And I was enjoying it too. It was real early in the morning. I got up and I was doing me. And I heard those kids out there. I heard the kids outside. But I didn't hear them outside till after, I did me. And then I went out and I had to feed my chickens and all of these things. And then I went back into my camper and my brother got a hold of me. And you see the message right here. You see that message at 8 something. Right here it is. I said, no, I ain't going nowhere today. I'm going to just stay home. I'm going to hang around the house. I'm going to rake up the fucking yard and tell everybody I tried to put a swimming pool in it. But it ain't going to do me no good because the police still going to find a footprint, the one that I missed, right? The one I missed. There she is, telling them all about it. She's telling them all about it. There's my chickens. Everybody said we didn't have no chickens, but we do. You see them? They're right there. I just borrowed them from the neighbor. Throwed them in there so you see them. Think we had them. And I was feeding them. And then I got that phone call right here. Do you see that? Here's the proof. I'm going to show you my phone because I want you to see the proof. And I told him at 8:48 in the morning, I'm going to stay home. I ain't going nowhere today because I just know law enforcement's coming. If you knew what I know, you know law enforcement's going to show up. And I got to be here. I don't want to miss this shit. There's my dog. I told my dog we're putting in a pool. They can't come out here running around playing in that dog play area no more. I told them I'm punishing them. They got time out because they didn't like the kids that's missing right now. They were just too mean. But the kids were out here. I heard them. I was in the camper. I was laying down. I heard them out there playing on these swings right there. Take a look at them. We made them out of that wood back there in that shed. We punched holes in it, put some thread through it, and we hung them up because we really care. We really care. We made sure we built them a makeshift swing set instead of going out and buying them a real good one. We just made this one. We hung it up there so they could play. That's got to count for something. Give me a little limey light. You got to shine that limey light on me now. Because that's what I'm looking for. Right there. And these are good, sturdy, strong swings too. If I wanted to, I could swing on it. I could do a chin up right now in front of you if you wanted me to. But I guess I won't. Because, I got to get some limelight again. This ain't about me. This is about the kids. You guys got to listen. But we had law enforcement out here. They's tearing the shit out of my trailer back there. My Cadillac trailer. Right? When they got done with it, I didn't have a door handle. They packed all that dirt and mud in there. That's why it looks like that. It looks like that because law enforcement came in and did it. And I ain't been able to get it look the same since. So when I open the door up and that smell comes out, and you see all that damn dirt, that's law enforcement. Been here 3 times. 3 times. Now, I'm telling you, that mother was standing right here where I was going to put the pool. When I came out, she's standing right there. I heard them hollering for Jack and Lilly. And I just figured they're calling them in the house. But 20 minutes later, I came out anyway. I came out because I just couldn't stand laying there any longer and play like I didn't know. So I came out and I said, "What's going on?" And that mother said, "The kids are missing." What? I ran in. Boy, you should have saw me. I got in that trailer so fast, I jumped into my boots and I came running back out like Crunchable in that movie. That American movie, Matilda? I looked like Crunchable when I jumped into my boots, and I came out of that trailer and I jumped down on the ground and I took off running up in them woods, and I was looking for those kids. And my son said, "Do you want to go with me?" And I said, "Hell no. I'm going to check all this area right here myself." Because that's what I can do. And I did. I did it. But I didn't find nothing. I didn't find a thing. Surprise, surprise, surprise. There I am. There I am, running up into those woods. No, I ain't got my boots on today. I ain't got my Crunchable boots on today. I'm not going to be able to move as fast as I did that day. Because I got to have them boots on when I move like that. Today I put my better shoes on because I knew you're coming. And I got to walk slow in those. This is the fort. This is the fort right here where them children, they got some, little sticks and wood and leaves, and they made a fort. But right here is where I was going to put that pool. Let's go back to the swimming pool. And this right here is where law enforcement found that boot print that I missed when I was raking away all the evidence. Right there where I said I was going to put a pool. I said I was going to put a pool there because I had to have something. I had to make up something for the reason I raked this whole damn area. Trying to get rid of that evidence. That's my opinion. Now, why the hell would you put a pool in the middle of a driveway? Somebody tell me, why would you put a pool in the middle of the driveway? And not only that, why not put it over in the yard where the dogs can't get to the kids? Why stick it in this muddy area where the water's going to be dirty all the time? Why the hell would you do that? And also, people probably want to pull up here and, unload stuff, maybe unload things to fix stuff and so forth and so on. Why anyhow would you want to stick a pool there? I'm going to tell you what, she'd have been smarter if she would have just said, hey, on the night before, I was raking up all this area where my dogs play because, you know, the kids and my sons and them, they leave stuff out here all the time and garbage. And I've spent most of the evening raking up all this area, all the trash and all the stuff, throwing it away. But no, she felt that, you know, they say, oh, you were raking up, you know, stuff. She said I was going to put in a pool because if she said I was raking up the garbage and everything so that, you know, for my dogs to play, they would have been like, throwing stuff away, hon. They might have caught on to, you know, her raking away evidence. I think we found this very spot that, you know, whatever took place right here. Where they found that footprint, that right there is where whatever happened. It happened right here on this property. And it happened right there where Granny's going to put her pool. That's my opinion. I'm going to keep it. Put a 1 in the chat if that's your opinion. Because that's my opinion. My opinion is whatever happened to them kids, it happened right here. Now, I don't know if somebody, you know, flew in there and accidentally hit them, you know, or hit one of them. And they didn't want to, you know, they didn't want to go to prison. So they basically got rid of the other child too. I don't know if, you know, you know, the kids were out there. They wasn't supposed to be in this area, but they was. And, you know, and Daniel decided to discipline them. Or, you know, maybe the mother decided to discipline them and it went a little bit too far. It went way too far. Right? Something happened that, you know, something went down that shouldn't have went down. And they had to get rid of them both. See, these two kids were a package deal. They were a package deal because one would have, you know, one would have told the truth for the other one. If law enforcement would have talked to one, it would have told the truth for the other one. Because that's what children do. And they wasn't going to risk, you know, even if it was just one something happened to, they wasn't about to risk the other one, you know, telling what happened, because nobody wants to go to prison. That, you know, and little Jack had a black eye. 2 weeks before he came up missing, he got on the school bus with a black eye. He had a black eye just 2 weeks before he came up missing. That tells me that they, you know, that they severely abused those children. It tells me that Daniel, more than likely, ain't the good piece of crap he's trying to, you know, gaslight us into believing he is. Sounds to me like Daniel's a piece of shit, if you ask me. That's my opinion. But it also sounds like the mother of these children are a piece of shit as well. That's my opinion. And I think Grandma is no better than the rest. I think that's a grandest living in that camper. I think that is a grandest. You know, why these people obviously spending their money on something other than a decent fucking living, right? Something other than a decent living. She said she was putting in a pool. It sounds to me like she was covering up evidence. That's my opinion. I will keep that. And people talked about, you know, they might have got attacked by the dogs. The dogs didn't like the kids. They might have got attacked by the dogs. No. Because, see, if the dogs would have attacked the kids and done something, they could have called, you know, they could have called emergency number. They could have got help, you know, got to a hospital. And, you know, nobody would have, you know, nobody would have been in trouble if the freaking dogs attacked the kids. If the kids got out, you know, got out in this area and, you know, they came outside and got into that area and attacked by some dogs, You can't watch. Nobody can watch kids 24/7. I mean, stuff's going to happen. Your kid's going to, get a knot on his head, right? It's going to walk into the baseboard. No matter how great of a mother you think you are, your child is going to slip down some stairs. Your child's going to run into the baseboard and bump his head. Your child is going to, be on a bicycle and fall off. Your child's going to get on one of those, cute little motorized vehicles you want to buy for it, right? On those little cars and Jeeps and all that cool stuff that's, battery powered. And they're going to get in it and they're going to hit that paddle and that thing's going to take off. And, they're going to hit a wall or they're going to hit something. You cannot protect them constantly. Nobody can. Our parents couldn't protect us, and you can't protect them all the time. They're going to get their lumps and their little bruises. All kids do. And kids sometimes, sometimes if you turn your back, they could be in the yard playing, and the next thing you know, they're trying to go out the gate or they're trying to, do something else. And you got to watch them all the time. You got to watch them all the time. Kids are very quick. They're very fast. They, blink of the eye, they can be into a real mess, right? They can be in a real mess just with the blink of the eye. You tell the child, you can tell your kids, walk to the car. When I open this door up, everybody is to walk to the car. It's raining or it's wet outside, it's slippery. Everybody walk to the car. No, you're going to have one that takes off and slides in the mud just like you told it not to, right? Because that's what kids do. That's what they do. Expect it. Expect it. We did it. We did it. We didn't listen. Kids don't listen. They don't listen all the time. And instead of, getting angry with them, oh, they slipped in the mud. Now they might have to get, different shoes on. You might have to, maybe even a whole new outfit. It's going to delay everything because they just slid through the mud, made a home run. You don't get upset. Laugh about it. Just laugh about it. Laugh about it because you know what? That child just learned a lesson. It just learned to listen to you. It won't take off like that again. It done learn its lesson. Why are you going to holler at it? Why are you going to scream at it? Why are you going to be mean to it? There's no reason to. Just help it up. Say everybody back in the house. Your sibling's going to have to get, cleaned up and redressed. I know it's a delay, but obviously God has a reason for delaying us. So let's enjoy the delay, and then we'll be off and on our way again. There's no reason to be upset. Everything happens for a reason. Everything. What people don't understand is how many times has God saved you and you didn't even know it. You didn't even know it. You were all upset. You was all upset because something delayed you. Because, you didn't get to do everything you wanted to do right on the time you wanted to do it. But you didn't ever think that delay was to save you from something, way worse. You should always look on the bright side of life. God does everything for a reason. Enjoy life. Enjoy the people around you. But these parents get angry. They get upset. And I think that Jack and Lily might have been out here in this area right there when they weren't supposed to. And somebody, if somebody could black that little boy's eye just 2 weeks before, then they might have struck him hard enough. Well, they might have struck him hard enough to, not be in this world anymore. And with his sister screaming and crying and carrying on, and a person's in a fit of rage, they may have struck her just as good. We don't know. We don't know what happened. I mean, as far as we know, they might have been covering up tire tracks. They may have had somebody come there and take those children away. They may have actually, gave the kids up for some self-gain. There's people, there's maybe they were tired of putting up with the kids all the time and seen a way to make some self-gain by, getting rid of the kids. They could have sold them. I don't know. They could have been cleaning up the tire tracks. And that's why they missed the boot print. They missed, there's probably 4 boot prints there. And they got everything but one. To let law enforcement know, hey, this is the crime scene. This right here is the crime scene. I don't know. Grandma Grandma also said that it was wet, that particular area was muddy and wet, that it had been wet. It sounds to me like somebody may have been, spraying or pouring out some water to possibly get rid of, some blood. I don't know. Tell me what you think. Because it's, that kind of sounds like it to me. I mean, if you're gonna have this area all wet and muddy, you're probably some stuff there that you don't want found. It don't take much, to make an open wound that's going to spill out, it's going to spill out some DNA. I don't think it was a stranger either, because they got those dogs, and if a stranger came around, those dogs would have been barking, and it would have alerted them. They, just like the Wells, they have dogs on the property. I don't believe anybody came on 110 and took Summer. I don't believe that. And I don't think law enforcement does either. And I don't think somebody came on this property and took anyone as well, because they got dogs all over this property also. So, with that being said, something happened and they know what happened. Now, I don't know if, like I said, they were the day before, they were in some area. They were seen in some area. Like, the night before, Summer came up missing. Andy and Jody Sue and Candace Grant, all of them were at the bottom of the property partying it up. The kids running everywhere. They were down there partying it up, and, and talking about, what was about to go down the next day, because they all gotten, Grandis took the kids up on 110. Jody Sue's son took the daughter back up into their place, and they all went out looking, for Mr. Dobbs, right? They took off looking for Mr. Dobbs. Why would they be looking for Mr. Dobbs? And Andy, when I confronted him, Andy, plainly stated, he pleads the fifth because it would incriminate him. He's not going to tell us why he went looking for Mr. Dobbs, because it would incriminate him. So we wasn't going to get the truth. We wasn't going to get the answer. out of Andy. I got to have respect. I have to have respect that, that he just basically said, hey, I'm not going to tell. I ain't incriminating myself. I'm not going to lie, and I'm not going to, and I'm not going to make up something, but I'm not going to tell the truth either. I'm just going to plead the fifth because I ain't going to incriminate myself. But, I think that they was out looking for Dobbs because they planned on putting a shoe or putting something around where Mr. Dobbs was of Summers to like they tried to blame it on Dudley the next day. He fired Dudley to blame it on. And I think that they thought that Mr. Dobbs might be a better person to blame it on. And they couldn't find him. So Dudley ended up taking the downfall anyway. But, if they would have found him, I think that we would have found something of Summers. And I think that we would have been saying, oh, this man did it. He did it. Absolutely. They found that little girl's, shirt or shoes or, they found something. Knowing with Don and Candace, it might even have been a pair of, underpants to really make it look bad for this man. Because that's the type of people they are. But luckily, Mr. Dobbs couldn't be found. And they had to go back home and just resort to blaming Dudley like they had planned to do anyway. Right? That's my opinion. Well, I do know about Mr. Dobbs. I do know that, he's an awful big man. I do know that he's an awful old man. And I do know that that Jody, Sue, and Andy and law enforcement was right there when he packed his shit up and he left. He went out of Ben Hill Road, completely out to the hotel. Law enforcement was still there inside Ben Hill Road, gapping and talking and hanging with Jody, Sue, and Andy about Mr. Dobbs. So they know that he completely left the area. Even law enforcement knows he completely left the area because he was still there when he left. And he wasn't nowhere around when Summer went missing. I know that he was, at a hotel with video surveillance, and him and his dog was seen there the whole entire day during the time that Summer supposed to came up missing. They were at that hotel and they were seen coming in and out, walking his dog and walking around, and his vehicle hadn't ever moved or went nowhere. And I know that he's too big and he's too old to go flying up a hill and trying to pack a 40-pound kid back down the side of some mountain. That old man couldn't get up there on his own, let alone packing a child. So that just rules him out. That totally rules him out. And like I said, there's surveillance of him. They got surveillance of Dobbs and where Dobbs was, but they don't have surveillance of where Fred Hill was, or Laura, or Chad Arnold, or Candace until Candace went following Chad Arnold out of Ben Hill Road onto Beach Creek. They got surveillance of that because of the trail cam of a neighbor's down there at the end by Beach Creek. happened to have a trail cam that picked it all up. The trail cam actually seen, it actually seen these people coming and going. They know that, they know that Candace came out after they arrived home the first time. Law enforcement knew it. Law enforcement also knew that, Candace came back in, and after following Chad out, she came back in, and then, she came out again after law enforcement was called. She comes out, the second time after they go home. The only people coming in and out of there that day was these weirdos that lived in there. It wasn't no Mr. Dobbs. So where did Candace go? Where did she follow Chad Arnold to? Where was Fred and Laura? Where was they really? Where was they really at? And then Fred stated, here's another thing. Fred stated that he helped some guy with his motorcycle. That he went back into Ben Hill. He came back out with his trailer thing, and he helped this guy, load up his bike and took this guy and dropped him off somewhere for this bike to be fixed. Right? And he said he had never seen the guy before, and he ain't ever seen the guy since. But then later, Fred says, put one in the chat if you heard that story. Put a 1 in the chat if you heard Fred Hill say that the guy helped, he had never seen, and he don't know, he hasn't ever seen him since. It was just some random person, and he don't know what happened to him. Because that's the story he was giving out at the beginning. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And then Fred came back out and he said, no, I knew the boy. I knew the guy that I helped. He was such and such a person, supposedly had a brother or something. It was supposed to be the guy. It was supposed to be the guy that I believe the guy that was, running around helping JLR or something. Anyway, he said I can't remember exactly, but I know he said that he knew this guy and that it was one of the locals there that, he helped. He came back and said now he knew this guy that had the motorbike. Put a 1 in the chat if you remember his second story, that he knew the guy. Because I was thinking, what? You motherfucking said that you didn't know this dude, that you didn't ever see this dude, that after you dropped him off, you didn't ever see him again. And now you're saying you do know him? That you helped someone you do know? Yeah. I was like, what? No, this shit ain't making no sense. I mean, this guy, first he don't know the person, now he does know the person, and this is bullshit. And that's how Fred operates, because he's playing the same games that Don and Candace and Grandis is playing. He's playing the same games that Jody Sue and Andy's playing. He's playing the same freaking games. And I'm going to tell you, why would you play the same games? Because you got a dog in the race. You got a dog in the race. Somewhere there's a dog in that race. And I'm going to tell you something. I think that Fred Hill had all to do with Summer getting her little head completely shaved. Because Laura's daughter had just dealt with Child Protective Services, who cut her kid's hair, that took clippings of the kid's hair to see what substances could possibly be in their systems, and did the clippings. And all of a sudden, Summer comes up bald-headed right after that. So who told Don and Candace Wells about, hair clippings and and all the stuff about sedation? And obviously they were sedating Summer, because they didn't cut the boy's hair. They just cut hers. And Jody Sue didn't say, sedating boys. Jody Sue said they were, you go ask him what he was giving Candace to sedate, not just Summer, but other little girls. Little girls. No boys, little girls. And all of a sudden, all of Summer's hair is cut off. Yeah. I'm going to tell you, Fred's got a dog in it too. Don't think he doesn't. Let us remember that Fred went up there and seen Jody Sue's son in the pool with Summer and got jealous. Saying that Jody Sue, that Don and Candace, everybody's inside the house, and this boy was in a pool, having that Summer. Well, what was Fred doing up there? What was Fred up there trying to have at? Let us think about that. Because in my opinion, he might have been having at some stuff too. Right? He had his ass up on the hill. And Don Wells let us remember that when Summer went missing, Don Wells wasn't across the road at Andy Bernard's. Don Wells was down the road at Fred Hill's. And he stayed at Fred Hill's that whole entire night. Let us remember that. And that wasn't Dobbs. Sonia. She showed that video to Dotson, to the Dotson guy, the guy that, was an undertaker. Well, not an undertaker. He more or less was, he ran the furnace. He worked in the funeral home. That's the one. It wasn't Dobbs. Dobbs was the one they ran off and didn't come back. It was that David Dotson that Candace supposedly, showed video of all the kids at the horse stables, but there was no other kids at the horse stables except for Summer and Hunter and Candace, and we don't even know if Grandis was there or not. It sounds like Grandis was either in the vehicle or possibly dropped off at Hunter's mom's house to spend some time with Hunter's mommy. So we don't know where Grandis was. We just know that there was Hunter, Candace, and Summer at that particular swimming hole. We're not sure, we're not sure if Grandis was in the ball game or not. Law enforcement hasn't released that, but I would say she was. I would say that she must have been in the vehicle and seen in the vehicle at when they went to Walgreens to pick up the prescription. Grandis must have been in the vehicle. And when they went to Sonic, she must have been in the vehicle. And when they went to the store, she must have been in the vehicle. Because, if she wasn't, then they would have already been in prison. So she had to have been in the vehicle, seen in the vehicle and all. Summer wasn't seen at none of them places. Summer was not seen at Walgreens. She wasn't seen at Sonic's, and she wasn't seen at the grocery store. Summer was not seen after, the horse pond, after the swimming hole. Summer was not seen in the vehicle. No movement of Summer was seen in the vehicle after that. And that's because she was laying against that door, driver's side door, soaking wet on that pillow. In my opinion, no longer alive. And that's why she wasn't seen. And I believe that's why, in my opinion, that's why Ronnie Lawson said, why did you wait 4.5 hours to call law enforcement? Because Ronnie knew that there was no signs of Summer at any of those other places after the swimming pond. So, he was, even though they can't prove, death hadn't set in enough to prove that she was, no longer with us on those milk jugs, plus the makeup, I believe she had makeup on. The makeup was, also hindering being able to tell if she was truly deceased or not. So, there wasn't enough, evidence of death to be able to prosecute upon. But there was enough. I mean, that law enforcement knew enough by not seeing her active anywhere that she probably was. I can't remember Candace's first husband's name right off the top of my head. He hasn't ever been, he hasn't ever been a pawn. He hasn't ever really been a pawn in Summer's case. So I don't know right off the top of my head. That guy, that guy was all the way in Wisconsin. If he was even alive, I'm not even sure if her first husband is still alive or not, to be honest with you. Yeah, because she's got it tattooed on her hand. That's right, it is Andrew. I don't know how I forgot that. Seeing that we got an Andrew with his nose stuck into this case, something fierce, right? Right. That's exactly, it's kind of like, it's kind of like the case, where little Kaylee, right? They found little Kaylee and she had the sticker over her mouth with the heart on it. A sign, a gesture of love, right? A gesture, something that a parent or someone that cared about the child would do. When they found little Kaylee, she was, had that over her mouth. And seeing that Candace didn't even feed the child, didn't even bother to feed the child that morning. And seeing that she wasn't in no habit of, of drying and dressing her kids after swimming. I mean, they all jumped in the car wet and went back home to play in more water. right? To get out in the yard and play in more water. So she wasn't, she wasn't in no habit of taking care of her kids like that anyway. So and as Hunter said, Summer was the only one, the pillow. Oh, she was sitting on that because she's the only one wet in the car, leaning against the door. So, Hunter let us all know that, Summer wasn't dressed. She wasn't dressed at the swimming hole, and, because she was cold or anything. And she was, laying against that door. I think deceased, not with us any longer. Soaking wet, still in that bathing suit on that pillow. And when they got to Allison's house, I think she was turning like, the size of her head. She was turning, that funny color. And I think they got her in there and cleaned her up and, left the clothes with Allison, the bathing suit, left the clothes she had on with Allison, put the school outfit on her because Candace, wanted to have that motherly gesture of love and put her in her first day school outfit because she wasn't ever going to get to go to school anyway. And, and then propped her up on the milk jugs and headed, back into Ben Hill Road with her where she was going to meet up with Chad Arnold and go wherever they put Summer. That's my opinion. But I think that Allison kept the bathing suit and the other clothes. I think Allison washed them. I think she washed them and really, really good. She washed them up. She dried them up. And I think that that's why when Candace and Grandis showed back up, they showed up to pick those clothes up. That's when Candace got Summer's stuff back into her hands that Summer was wearing that day. That's my opinion, because when Chris asked about Summer's clothes and if they were left there, if you took note, that bothered Allison. If you watched the video and you watch when he asked us that, you see Allison clam up and get real quiet for a minute. She almost draws inside of herself. And then she realizes, that she's looking suspicious. And she's like, no, I don't know. I don't know. She got caught off guard. You could tell she was caught off guard about the clothes. And, and that's why, I believe that, and why else would Candace and Grandis show back up at Allison's house if it wasn't to pick up something that was left there? They ain't going to show back up just to talk to freaking Hunter, because they could do that on the phone. They, just like she did out in the police car, just like she did, at the ballpark, just like she did all the time. They showed up because they were picking up. And I believe it was the bathing suit and, and the shorts and stuff she had on earlier that morning. Got all washed up so that, the law enforcement couldn't use it for anything, no kind of scent or nothing. And, and definitely not, not to figure out that, and it surely wouldn't attract cadaver dogs, right? Once it's been washed up, bleached up, and perfumed up. So, there was a whole reason for it. No doubt, no doubt in my mind. And that's what went down. Why law enforcement hasn't, worked harder to figure out where this baby is and how to get a hold of it and bring it to the light and prosecute these bastards. I don't know. But, it could all have to do with videotapes of some people who don't want to be exposed for being up there on the hill doing weird stuff with little kids. That's a very good possibility. I mean, and over in Alabama, they just busted a ring like that. They just busted a ring. Like, you know, like we believe Ben Hill Road was. And over in Arkansas, they busted a ring like that. Right at Don and Pam Wells' house. And Lisa Jensen was one of them that had her child taken by Child Protective Services out of there because of all these children being SA'd. And that was at Don and Pam's place in Arkansas. Same stuff that was going on in Alabama. So why would they not start it up over in Tennessee? Why would they not start it? History repeats itself. Different day, different state, same bullshit, right? I think so too. And you know, Donnie Candace is so bold. Donnie Candace is so bold to come out and say, you know, they must have something on somebody because they were bold enough to come out and actually admit to having video of their boss, of Don's boss, essaying, you know, supposedly Summer. Well, they videoed it. And they supposedly sold this tape for $5,000 to somebody. And the boss was crying, talking about how, you know, they was going to call him a essayer. And they were really laughing and giggling and really getting off on, you know, on saying this, exposing it, you know, exposing what they were doing. Like, you know, what is anybody going to do? We've got more videos. You want yours released? Basically, you know, they were taunting someone. They were saying, you know, we don't have no worries. We're above the law. We're above the law because we got something, you know, that's going to keep the law off our backs. That's my opinion. Because if anyone else had a missing child and came out and said something like that, you would be arrested. The law would be at your door, putting your ass in handcuffs and taking you downtown, and they would be using that particular video recording to prosecute your ass in the court of law. The whole jury and the judge is going to hear what you said out your own damn mouth about your missing child. And you're going to be prosecuted, if nothing else, for trafficking a minor and admitting to it. And ain't nobody going to be saving your backside. I don't know. I don't know, Ruby. That's the big question. That's the big question. Why? Right? Three little letters. It's like F. Two little letters, but a big word. And Y is three little letters, but a big word. Why? You know, we might not ever know why until the Lord tells us. I mean, God knows why. We might have to, you know, wait till we get to the promised land to know why. I mean, we can suspect. And usually if you suspect, you know, if you have a really strong suspicion, you're probably right. That's probably the answer. If you have that strong suspicion, right? I would like to finish up more about Jack and Lily's case, but I've run out of time, you guys. I've ran out of time. I've kept you guys here for quite a while. But we're gonna get back. We're gonna get back to Jack and Lily. Um we're gonna get back to Summer as well. We're gonna get back to a few of these children that are out here missing. I think it's time. I think it's time to, take the lid off of a lot of stuff and and expose all we can to try to get all we can done on the behalf of these kids. So, as I said, I'm not going to see little Summer used and abused again so people can make, self gain off of her. Ain't effing happening. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to bring out recordings. I'm going to bring out everything that needs to be brought out to show how disgusting these mother freakers are, and how they're playing games, and how they do not deserve no damn attention. They don't deserve no attention whatsoever. Cher doesn't deserve no attention. Ziggy don't deserve no attention as well. Cher could have got a lot of answers for Summer. She could have gotten a lot of answers for Summer. And she didn't. And she didn't because she wanted to protect evil people's asses. Cher is always for the evil people who are using and abusing and destroying these children. She's always on the evil side, not ever on the righteous side. And I don't have, I don't have a damn thing for people who do this. Nothing for them. We don't support evilness. We support righteousness. We support the children, and we try to get all the answers we can for these babies, right?
That's right.
And with that being said, I'm going to bring out all these inconsistencies. I'm going to show that Fred Hill has done nothing but play games in this little girl's case and hasn't ever told the truth or done a damn thing to help find her or anything else. Matter of fact, what he has done is keep in contact with, these evil beings and letting these evil beings be aware and be able to, Fred is like Jody Sue. He's out here to gain knowledge to help these evil people to keep Summer from being found. He's out here to gain knowledge to keep himself safe from what happened to Cotton. He's not out here to help a victim. He's out here to help his damn self. Trust and believe that. And I'm going to bring the receipts to prove it, because I'm sick of this shit. And anybody that goes over there and listens to this mother freaker that talks out of all sides of his damn mouth, and has some dingbat sitting over there ignorant enough to pick somebody like that up and bring them into their home around their own child.
Got some serious problems when you do that.
Shouldn't be listening to that either. Shouldn't be listening. But you shouldn't be going around people who, plainly puts it in your face that they work for Satan, that they work for evilness. I'm going to tell you, if evilness attracts you, like a freaking fly to manure, You better check yourself. You better check yourself, because you ain't promised another day. And if you're not doing what God wants you to do today, well, you're probably going to end up in the wrong place if you don't have another day left. Just saying. You're not going to catch me. You ain't going to catch me over there. I do not aid and abet mother freaking evilness any way, form, or how. I don't do it. I won't do it. It's just the way it is. It's just the way it is.
How
But
are
I
you, Mama?
appreciate everybody. I appreciate each and every last one of you being here. I appreciate all the people that, that want the truth. They want to hear the truth. They want to know the truth. They're seeking it because they understand that that's all that's going to help these kids in the future to be brought home. I appreciate everyone that knows that God is the truth
Amen.
and willing to face the truth. I appreciate each and every one of you. I appreciate Summer's Army. And God bless and much love to each and every one who is truly here for all the right reasons. God be with you. God be with us all. And I want to ask before I go out of here, please keep the prayers going up for Summer Moon Utah Wells. Keep the prayers going up for this little girl. Keep the prayers going up for Jack and Lily. Keep them going up for all of these missing children. Sebastian, Michael Vaughn, so many. Pray for Michael's mother. She's going through a lot. Pray for the Idaho Forest family. There is so many people. Pray for all the people that was at Walmart and now they're in hospitals. There's been a whole lot of people over the past week. A lot of chaos going on in our country. A lot of people, unalived, and a lot of people, severely injured because that's just how evil people are. They don't know how to, live and walk the right way and the right road, and they're out there just destroying whoever they can, for their own selfishness and their own self satisfaction, so forth and so on. Pray for all of these families. Pray for them and pray for their families. So many people need prayer right now. I can't even keep up with names on people needing prayer any longer. I just got to say, Lord, I'm praying for all the good people. I'm praying for all the good people who need prayer. I'm praying for them all, Father. Be with them, be with their families. Just watch over them and keep them safe. God be with them. Let them find some comfort and somehow in all of this tragedy going on, because we got to all find comfort in all of this too. We have to find comfort as well, you guys. It's a freaking mess. It's a freaking mess, and it's a nightmare. And
It's getting worse, coming close to the time.
yes, it is. And I'm highly freaking pissed that Fred and Ziggy has the audacity to bring their asses out early morning hours and talk about Ryan finds truth. They want to talk about him because he's up there around this family that Don Wells actually went to the door of the people's house with the little girl that's in the video. And I'm sure,
right.
I don't care for Ryan much either. He's another one of those into woo-woo stuff. And I stay away from his channel. I stay away from him. But he tried to deceive me. He tried to deceive us, coming over here telling us he's a Christian and he wasn't no more of a Christian, than the devil himself, I guess you could say. I mean, he was all up into that woo-woo shit. But the thing is, and looking to deceive people. I don't like that. And I don't care for this man. But I'm going to tell you what. I don't think he would be videoing anybody's child if he didn't have, you know, their permission to do so. That's
Right.
my opinion. And I think that maybe they let him, you know, take the shots of the child to show people, the beautiful little girl that Don Wells was going into that area, you know, seeking at the end of at the very end of a dead end road. He went down a dead end road to seek this child out. And I think he could have been trying to send a message, because this child is somehow related to Cotton Simpson.
Right.
And you know, we all know that Cotton was going around saying that, you know, he saw some things and knew some things about Summer's case. We all know that he went around saying some stuff because he was hanging out up there at Fred's, hanging out at Ben Hill Road. And I think Don Wells may have got wind that Cotton was talking, you know, talking about Fred and talking about some stuff he heard and maybe possibly seen. And I think that, you know, Don may have went there and, you know, and seeked out that little girl and went knocking on that door to say, you know, not to say, hey, your kid's on the road, you better keep an eye on it, but to say, hey, if we want your kid, we can have it. You need to, you know,
Right.
you guys need to keep your mouth shut. It could have been, you know, it could have been something evil instead of something kind. Because these people don't do kind stuff. We already know that. They don't do nothing kind.
No.
So there probably was something evil behind it. And you know, it might have been a message for Cotton. And Cotton just, you know, Cotton just didn't get the message. And, you know, he ended up unalived. I don't think that it was overly, you know, the message Cotton didn't get that unlived him. I think it was overly the money that he was packing. And that somebody, you know, that somebody knew he had and wanted it. And I'm going to tell you, Cotton Simpson was followed. And, you know, they said his car wouldn't run. Well, his car, we all know if a car breaks down, you can't perfectly fucking park it the way that vehicle was perfectly parked. I mean, you know, and law enforcement thinks his case is a homicide, you know, not an accident. And I think law enforcement would, you know, I believe law enforcement before I believe Ryan has truth, right? Or finds truth or whatever the fuck he does with his truth. Also, Ryan is going to mislead people because he, you know, he worked with Andy Bernard's dad. He knew the Bernards for a long time, even if he says he didn't. He's a freaking liar. And he's been hanging with Andy and them for quite a while. And, you know, and of course, you know, being evil people that they are. I mean, come on, these people are into that woo-woo shit also. They're into all of that weird freaking stuff. You know, do you really expect the truth out of these people? It sounds like a mother freaking occult to me that was into, you know, into illegal substances and into trafficking kids and into all this weird shit, and even running around up in the woods doing weird shit as well, from what Jody Sue, you know, has told us. I mean, it sounds like a weird bunch of group of people who are into some real sinister shit. And I hate to give people the bad news, but you know, Fred is part of that. And you know, and why would Ziggy be any different? She's into that woo-woo shit too. She's into that woo-woo shit. Wouldn't be hard to get her to join, right? Wouldn't be hard to get her to join. She's not for Summer anyway. So, you know, and she ain't for any kid. She ain't even for her own kid, if you ask me. That's just my opinion.
Amen.
So, you know, I'm not going to sit up here and allow these evil beings to use little Summer to capitalize off of when they don't care about her in the first place. And they're not going to ever tell us anything we could use because they're too busy protecting their asses with a bunch of fucking lies. So, you know, why are we wasting our time? Why are we even wasting our time giving a shit what they got to say? That's just, you know, that's just my opinion. But I don't tell people where you can go. I don't tell you what you can do. You know, I hope you stay on the righteous path. I hope you avoid, you know, those evil channels and stay the hell away from people who, you know, do that weird stuff. I don't think you want to be caught in there, you know. And it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if Jesus comes today and catches you there or not. He already caught you there when you went. It's already, you know,
Amen.
it's already upon your head. If you've been in there, it's already on you anyhow. It doesn't matter. You done been busted. God knows all. He sees all. He, you know, he keeps tabs of all. So if you're there,
Mama
he knows.
PG got my butt.
And that's on you. That's on you. You know, I refuse to go there. I want nothing to do with it. You know, nothing to do with it. And you know, I feel sorry for people who do.
Best
I
channel
think
we
I'll,
got
I'll
is
stick
Mama
I'll stick
PG's.
with the channels who, you know, who righteously are trying to really do something for the missing children. I'll stick with, you know, the lab. I'll stick with JLR. I'll stick with, you know, Smalley. I'll stick with people that ain't into woo-woo stuff and just out for self-gain. They really care. They really love these kids. They really care, and they go the extra miles just like we do to try to do all they can to get these cases solved. Those are the people, you know, I want to stick with. But I'm heading out of
Ah,
here. Keep those prayers going up and keep them going up for one another. Family that prays together stays together.
stays together.
Amen.
Mama, you doing okay?
I'm doing good, girl. I'm doing well. I can't say I'm happy, you know,
Right?
say I'm happy about, you know, the way they came out. You know, they came out and they trying to, you know, um, use this little girl again with a bunch of lies and BS to gaslight these people to, you know, to self gain again as they did before. I can't say I'm happy about that, but I'm going to do all I can to stop it. I'm going to do everything I can to stop it. And, you know, and you can only do so much, girl. But I'm going to tell you what,
That's right.
um, I'm about to let it. I'm about to let it loose. I'm about to let it all loose on Mother freaking Fred
Gotta do what
Heel.
you gotta do, Mama.
You know,
Gotta
I'm
do what
about
you
to
gotta
let
do.
everything loose on Fred Heel, and and you know, and show everybody to show everybody, you know, he hasn't done nothing but play games in Little Summer's case, and that is so wrong. It's so wrong. It's
Dirty.
nothing righteous about it. And God be
Nope.
with us. God be with us, you guys. And may God even more so be with these missing children.
Amen. Well, prayers to you, Mama PG. Prayers to everybody in chat. Prayers to the family too, Mama.
Hey, girl,
Prayers to
prayers
Miss
for you and
Norway.
yours.
Well, I had a bad day yesterday, then Sunday. Tree fell
Oh,
out in front of
really?
me when I was driving, and then I hit a deer last night.
Oh, my goodness, for real?
Yeah, I'll send you
Oh, my
some
gosh.
pictures.
I hope you
Yeah.
kept going. I hope you kept going.
No, it knocked me sideways. It stopped me.
Oh, you're kidding me. Wow.
No, I'll
They
send you
say they
pictures.
say that you got to keep going because if you don't, you know, you can actually it can come through your window and totally take you out of this world. So they said
Yep.
it's best, you know, to just keep going so it'll flip up over, you know, the car and you can stay safe. Um, that is scary though, man. I've had them come
It
out.
is.
I've had them dart out in front of my vehicle like that, and I just thank God. I just thank God that you know it made it. It made it to the other side before anything happened. You know, but
Right.
if you know, but if I'm out, it usually only happens at night. So
Yep.
if I'm out, if I have to be out driving at night and I get on those roads, where you got to look out for that. I usually go real slow,
Yes.
I basically do a crawl so that if they did dart out, I'd be able to stop, let them keep going,
Yep.
I'm in no rush. I'm in no rush to get anywhere. If I get there,
That's
great.
me.
If I get there when I get there.
Yep. I was going 40 miles an hour and it's 55 through there. And I'm like, what in the world? He just came right off the hill right in
Girl,
front of me.
I see all of these people in a damn hurry to get, they're always in a hurry to get nowhere. For
Yep.
real. I mean, they act like they can't
Causing
wait.
wrecks, everything.
Yeah, everybody, like everybody's supposed to stop and just let them have the road. And I don't know
Yep.
what's wrong with them, but I'm going to tell you what, they're going to wish one day they would have stopped, waited, and just smelled the roses and enjoyed life. Because,
Amen.
life goes too fast. It goes way too fast. Life's like the freeway anyway.
Yes.
And and if you're moving, twice that, pushing to be everywhere, you're not enjoying nothing. You're not enjoying
Nope.
nothing. You're just a vessel moving from one, in a hurry to move from one location to another location to another location. And and you really didn't, you weren't smart enough to stop, slow down, and really live life. And that's what life's about. It's
Right.
about living. It's about
I'll
taking
send you
time.
pictures in a minute when we get off of here. You'll be like, girl.
Yeah, I got to see that, girlfriend. I have to see that. That's insane. Right?
Well,
I'm
Amy
glad
took it
you're
to the end zone
okay.
this morning. Oh,
I'm glad
I
you're
cried
okay.
when I
That's
hit
the
it.
big thing. Did
I
your
feed
car
about
get
50
damaged?
of them.
Did it
Yeah,
damage your
it tore up the
vehicle?
front end.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah. I'm sure you are. You're like in tears.
I
You're in
was.
tears. I'm gonna tell
I'm
you,
like, not my car.
if a deer ran out in front of my Maserati, I would be. Man, I would. Me and that deer, we're gonna have to have a talk. We're gonna
Right.
have, I'm gonna calling Santa Claus up, and I'm having Santa fire his backside.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
He needs to get fired.
Well, I was in chat last night and it was so funny. I heard you cutting Andrew down and I loved it. I was like loving it. And then I fell
Oh my
asleep because I
gosh,
was so
girl, he was in.
stressed.
Listen to what happened. You want me to tell you what happened? Before
Yes.
I know I need to get out of here, but I tell you what happened. He was in my back chat last night.
Oh,
Down
good.
in backstage. He got in backstage last night, and he was just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there doing some really weird stuff too. At one point, and he's got kids in the house. And at
Yes.
one point, he got up, turned around, and he had this thing in his hand. It's kind of like um well, I can't use that particular phrase because
Right.
can't use it. But anyway, it's like have you ever had that ice cream cone with it's got the little ball on the top of it that you push the button and it pops out and hits somebody?
Right.
It's like a sponge on top, and
Oh,
the little thing, you buy your kids and they pop it and it just flies out.
right.
Um, it's a toy. Well, he has one that don't pop out. It pops out.
Oh,
It like this thing that looks like a thing pops up out of the top of it, but it doesn't completely pop out. It's still on in the stick,
right.
and he's popping it and he's popping it, and then all of a sudden he stands up and he turns around and he takes this thing and he pops it, you know, in a place I don't want to talk about.
Right. Right.
I'm like, whoa, no, he didn't. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. I was like,
He is sick.
whoa. Yeah. And I'm going to tell you something. That was disgusting. That was really disgusting. but he has them kids in the house. What the heck was he doing? What was he
Right.
doing? I mean, like, these kids must have seen him. Anyway, he was, he stayed down there and he stayed down there and he stayed down there the whole entire time he's staying down there. Even after everybody, everybody, like if you're in my back stage right here, when I go to, when I end my live,
Right.
and all the chat, all the chat can no longer see me, but I can bring you up from backstage and talk to you, if you're back there. So after the live last night, he was still in my backstage.
Oh.
And he was sitting there. And anyway, I'll tell you later, but I I let him listen to some music and tortured him up a little,
Good.
here and there, like he tortures me.
Right. That's all he does is torture you and talk shit about you. And it's bullshit.
With his face. And anyway, I had him back there sitting, and I popped him up, and then I popped him back down. I popped him up, and I popped him back down.
Pop goes the weasel.
And he's just sitting down there, and I was thinking about just, crashing. I was just going to leave, the live the way it was. And I was just going to crash and wake up in the morning and see if he's still there. But I think he got the memo. I think he knew what I was going to do. So he finally left on his own. he finally just left on his own, because I wasn't going to leave. I was just going to leave him there so he could sit and back chat all night. Right?
Good thing to do to him.
Yeah, because I know he hates staying up. It tortures him to stay awake. So I'm like, okay, butthead, you torture me, I'm going to let you stay up all night. Right?
Good. Right.
But he got too sleepy and he had to go to bed. He had to go to sleep, girl. So he left on his own. So I went ahead and, ended everything and freaking went and got some rest myself, man. I tell you what, I've been dragging ass today, though. I've been dragging.
You've been working your butt off, you have.
Oh, I have, and I'm going to tell you. And then, I got to put in my 8 hours every day, sometimes 9 or 10. If I'm get overtime, I have to put in. I have to put in 9 or 10, and I'm going to tell you, when you stay up that late, I wanted to get in earlier tonight because I need to crash earlier and because I got to work.
And then you're doing all them projects at the house too, and you're wore out from it.
I'm going to tell you, girlfriend, it's mother freaking, we've got 2 more days before Friday, right?
Yeah.
2 more days before Friday hits. And I ain't looking forward to that shit. I wish it was Friday now.
Right.
I look forward to my
good day off and rest.
Girl, I got so much to get done. I've got like so many things that I've been putting off, and I got to stop and take time to take care of stuff in my I got I got a whole family, whether people want to believe it or not. I got a whole family to take care of. I got things to to do in my personal life as well, and I've been letting a lot.
Don't give Bubby no nail gun. No nail
filled
gun.
up, right?
He is not.
I'm gonna tell you, I got this one room that's driving me crazy. I got to definitely.
Well, if I was closer, I'd be there to help.
Hey, girl, and don't think I wouldn't appreciate it. That little Mr. Fix-It, I'm going to tell you something. He's something different. Let me tell you that now. Listen, I was talking, and this is the thing. Don't when you have little Mr. Fix-Its in your home, do not talk about what you're going to do, like If you want,
He's
you
good
like,
to do
you're
it.
thinking about doing something, like you're thinking about doing a project. Oh my goodness. There's Andrew again. He's back.
Oh,
Yeah, he
go
loves me.
away.
He loves me. He just misses me. There he is. So nobody can say PG, he wasn't there. Yes, he is. He's
Oh,
back
he's
there.
there. He's
He
there.
just loves me, man. He does. I promise you. He's got this. He just loves PG. What can I say?
Right. Well, we ain't got time for him. We got to do our prayers for all the missing kids and all Summer's
Amen.
army. And for Summer, we ain't got
Hey,
time
girl.
for him.
I'm going to tell you something. I think if we could just get law enforcement, they're supposed to be
Down at that
working.
cemetery.
They're supposed to be working on, looking into that particular site, that grave site over there. And if we can
Right.
just, get that, I think they can find her. I really do. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't know what they're waiting for, but I bet you 10 to 1. As soon as they feel, safe or whatever, I bet you they go right there and get her. I bet you they do.
Yep.
They're gonna
Lay
get
money
her.
on it. They will.
I
Yep.
don't know what's really holding them up, but if they get a hold of whatever's holding them up, Summer's coming out of there.
Yep.
And I don't think it's going to take them long to get a hold of whatever they're looking for.
Nope.
That's my opinion. I think, right now they're trying to just figure out where it is and how to get a hold of it.
Yep.
But
Andrew, get out of our chat. We don't want to talk to you. You're the demon. Go away.
Candace is already, from my understandings, Candace has already been seen walking there.
Yep.
Somebody said Don Wells was seen crying, was actually seen there late at night. Supposedly he was there late at night crying. Now I don't know how true it is, but I heard that Don Wells was over there at that particular place bawling like a baby.
Right.
At
And
night.
it's weird that Candace videos over there all the time. All the time.
I heard it was really late. I heard, from what I'm hearing, it was really late at night. He actually drove over there. He drove over there, went to that particular spot, and they said he was actually down on his knees. He was on his knees bawling. Like I said, I don't know how true it is, but that's word out there right now that he was bawling at that particular site. I heard Candace
Look how bad they look.
and I asked, I searched around and tried to get as much information as I could, where it was coming from.
Right.
And they said, oh no, Candace has been seen walking that direction, but not ever, not that was Dawn. They said it was Donald. Right. That was over there, and they said it was real late at night, and he was bawling, talking. They said he was talking, that they could hear. The person that seen it said that they could actually hear Don Wells talking, saying something. He was talking. Right. And so I don't know how
they know what they've done and where they've stuck her. Candace and Andy and Chad all know what they've done.
Hopefully, I think Dawn, I knew that it really bothered Don Wells more than anybody what happened to her, because he was really trying. At the beginning, he was really trying to stay sober. He was working hard to stay sober, like every day, stay sober. When Summer first went missing, and And Candace, man, she was jealous of it. She was
Yes.
really giving him hell, because he was trying to get on
Right
the
path.
right path, and she was really giving him hell. And
Mm,
you know, and I think that he might have, I think he might have understood the severity of what just all went down. He'd been evil
right.
all of his life, but not that evil. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I think Summer really did get to him. And to be honest with you, I don't believe Don. Don's scared of prison. He's scared to go to prison and everything. But I'm going to tell you what. I bet you 10 to 1. If Don Wells is ill enough to go out of the world, like he knows he's not going to make it, he's going to he's going to go. I bet you
Right.
10 to 1 he tells. I bet he tells to save his soul. He's going to tell
I
it
think
all.
he would.
I
Yep.
think he will. I think he's not going to care. He's going to tell it all, get it off his conscience, and let those people deal with all the evil that got done.
Right.
I think that, I think that's going to be the one thing he feels is going to, open the gate to heaven for him. And I think
Right.
he's really going to tell it all. That's my opinion. I don't think he cares that much about Candace
No.
to, to try to die with that secret and go to hell. I don't
No.
think he cares that much. So, that's just my opinion. If he doesn't go instantly, I think it all is going to be told. I think everything's going to be told.
Yep.
Just saying, especially if it's true. I mean, you know, the person saying this, they're pretty. I would say that they're pretty creditable. You know,
Right.
I mean, they seem to be pretty credible. So,
Right.
why
Look
would
how
they?
long you talked to Don. You tried to get him
Right?
to talk, and you tried to help, and
Well, I'm going
he
to
just
tell you
wanted to be an
something.
ass.
I'm going to tell you. I think that all of us got a lot out of Don Wells. I think that, I think all of us working together, like Doug, for instance, Doug got a lot, out of him. The lab got a
Right.
lot out of him. I got a lot out of him. I think a lot of us got a whole lot of truth, a whole lot of truth. We got a lot of lies, but I think we got a lot of truth out of Don Wells too. Benny
Right.
Key, I think there at the end when Benny really started feeling guilty and finally wanted to, I think he really wanted to help Summer after being up there and really, seeing everything this baby went through and having his own kid, his own baby he was caring about and everything. I think Benny really at the end there wanted to do good and
Right.
and he started really trying to get the answers for Summer too. And he got some pretty decent information out of the Wells also, especially Candace. And
Yes.
but I think Ernie got the most. I think Ernie,
Ernie
I
did.
think he did the best job where Candace is concerned. Out of everyone talking with Candace, Ernie got the most out of her.
Yep.
You know. But I think all
And
of us working together, um, has been able to figure out, I think we've all been able to figure out, that Summer perished at the swimming hole. I mean,
yes.
that's a given with law enforcement saying, why did it take you 4.5 hours to call us? That's a given
Right.
right there. And, and I think we understand when, we heard that she's seen following Chad Arnold out of Ben Hill Road and
Ben
he
Hill.
did, and, he didn't seek law enforcement. Law enforcement had to go seek him. So that tells us
Yep.
that they were up to no good, that they were in cahoots and up to no good. With Andy Bernard, I mean, that guy came out and explained exactly, the best time. If you got to get rid of somebody, the best times when they got an open grave, wait till the open grave and then let's do it. And they had one right there across the road. And as you said, every time Candace, takes her little videos, That's the very direction she points at. I've always
Yep.
always noticed that too, that she points in that direction. So,
The
and
flowers,
she says
everything's
Summer
the same
always be
too.
with me. Well, it's right across,
Yep.
You could see it right from her door,
Yep.
So I don't
Sick
think,
and demented people.
I think that Summer's case has been solved. It has been solved. Law enforcement just needs to find her and bring her home. I think we
Lay her to
already know
rest.
how that one went, just like we pretty much know what happened to Michael as well, with these people and what they done and so forth and so on. Law enforcement's just got to figure out where he's at,
Right.
It's not about the who or the how, or the why. It's
Right.
it's about where. It's about where.
Where?
And right now on those
Right. And
cases.
she always says Summer's always close. Always close. She does.
Oh yeah. Yeah. You could throw a rock and hit that cemetery, you could throw a rock from their hill over to that cemetery. Yeah, absolutely. I could probably
Well, I'll let you off of here, Mama.
I don't
Prayers
think I'd
to you and the
have a
family.
problem batting a baseball. I could probably bat a baseball over there,
Yep.
from their property. If I standing over in that cemetery, I could bat a baseball over onto their property. Right?
And I think, yep. It's sick.
Yeah.
And Candace placing the same flowers and the
That,
lights.
that
She's
ain't the
giving
only
herself
thing.
away.
It was sick that she was trying to accuse Don B of trying to look in a bathroom window at her. Ain't that disgusting? Who in the hell would want to look at her through the bathroom window? He was probably trying to, see if they're still throwing the toilet paper in a mother freaking wastebasket. He's
Right.
probably trying to see if they really put a door on the bathroom, because it went without one so long, right?
Right.
He was
Don B wouldn't hurt a fly. He wouldn't.
probably trying to see, if they hadn't found somebody else to shower with Dawn.
Ugh. Disgusting he is.
But
That was
I
weird because I messaged Don B. Sorry for interrupting you. I did message Don B because my mom's maiden name's Buchanan and his is Buchanan. I'm like, wonder if there's some family relation
wow,
there.
really? Yeah.
Mom. Yep.
There you go.
So I'm like, let's do some tree stuff here and see what's going on.
Right? Family tree, girl. I tell you.
What?
I don't shake my family tree. Too many nuts be falling out.
My nuts fall out too. So I just let them keep on falling and roll down the hill.
And I don't get no
rot.
Right? I don't get no peaches. I don't get no peaches and oranges. I get all freaking nuts.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, Don B was up there flying a drone. She said he was flying a drone trying to look in the window at her in her dream. And then she woke up.
Yes.
Right? Then she woke up.
Right.
That's just BS. Anyway, girl, I'm get out of here. I appreciate you coming up and hanging out with me.
Well, I love you, Mama, and prayers to you and the family, and
girl,
prayers to everybody in
you know
town.
it.
Prayers to Summer's Armory. Let's give her justice and let's get her brought home. Prayers to all the missing kids.
Amen. Amen.
All right, I love you, Mama.
Love you too, girl. All right, you guys. PG's going to head out of here, and I still got my bestest little friend hanging around in the back stage right there. I don't know what he's waiting for, but I think it's going to take a long time before hell freezes over. All right. But anyhow, I'm going to get out of here, you guys. Like I said, I appreciate each and every last one of you. God bless. God bless each and every one of you that are here for all the right reasons. God bless you. And you guys enjoy the rest of your evening. Enjoy the rest of your evening. And know The PG sending up the prayers for you. I'm sending up the prayers for you. And please pray for one another. Pray for one another. Everybody can use prayers. God bless and much love. And don't think that I didn't acknowledge Australia. I did acknowledge your super sticker tonight, sweetie. I was so busy with the content and everything, but I want to let you know how much I appreciate you supporting Summer's channel. God bless and much love. Come on, Andrew, if you want to sit in the back chat, sing the song. Sing the song.